Hello, hello. Wow, that's new. Coming up on the chat there. Option. Started a poll. Where will everyone finish? Welcome everyone. I hope you're doing well. F3 Races Insanity. I actually missed it. Jasper. I watched the I caught back up on the F2. I saw that there was a lot of. Did someone lose the championship on the last corner of the last lap? Something like that. It was crazy, I believe. Welcome everyone. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're looking forward to what is going to be a very interesting Italian Grand Prix today at Monza. Uncharacteristically, we are expecting potentially teams doing the two-stop. Tyre management going to be a definite factor here today. Something that we very or don't even ever see at Monza due to just the nature of the circuit with very minimal corners for one, and two, with there being very loaded corners really. It's all about the rear tyres out of the exit of the chicanes, but because of that new track surface, really throwing spanners in the works really in regards to Deg. So Max give revenge for all. Yes. Well, that's why I put the poll up today, because Lando Norris could make a maximum of 18-point swing. Well, I say maximum. No, maximum would be 26 if Max finishes outside the top 10. But if Max Verstappen finishes where he currently is qualified in, which is 7th, you do expect that if there's any issues with Perez, he'll finish ahead of Perez. But that would mean that he will have an 18-point swing if Lando gets the fastest lap. So good to see you, Gabriel. Good to see you, Daisy. Thank you. How's the morning going, Moon? Absolutely brilliant. So welcome everyone for tuning in. Of course, as is our post-race show, we will just wait for people to get into the stream and we'll have a look at the strategy options, look at the tyre allocations for today. It's going to be essential, as I said, with it being very close to a two-stop, I think, for a lot of the teams today. And I think we'll see teams doing the two-stop. We need to have a check at the tyre offset as well, and of course the weather conditions and the safety car. Will we get a safety car? My prediction today is I think we're going to get a safety car at some point today. We have gone 6 races, the longest streak since 2011, since we had a safety car. Surely we're due one, or minimum a VSC today. I can't see everyone finishing this race. So, hey Peter. Still new to F1. How does quali work? So there's 3 sessions. Elimination. Basically, the bottom 5 get knocked out in Q1. Then the same again in Q2. And then in the last session, it's the top 10. And that's basically it. Where am I now, Stuffey? What do you mean, where am I now? No, F3 leader passed on driver in front of him to hold on to the World Formula 3 Championship and win it by 2 points. Wow. I believe that we're getting 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Wow. If that happens, Gabriel, one, I'd be absolutely astonished. And I'd absolutely be massively over the moon. I don't think it's going to happen. But I like your enthusiasm. I like your positivity. As I said, yesterday we ended up... I say yesterday... At this point in time, I've more than doubled my subscriber count from which I started at the start of the year. So, yeah, doing amazingly, and that's thanks to you guys. So, big thank you for joining this community and continuing to support these streams and watch-alongs and myself and the content. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I've converted some of you to sim racing as well, and to some of the sim racing content that I put out there, because I'm going to do a video, actually. There's a video idea I've got in running through all of the drivers in F3, F2 and F1 who are on iRacing, because there's a considerable amount of drivers in real life that are on iRacing now. Hopefully this race is a good one. Yeah, I think so, Bear. I think it's going to be a good one. You think you must be F1 content official? No, I'm not content official. No. No, Rose Bear, yeah, have a good one, man. Has Red Bull been cheating? I don't know. I mean, it's one of two things. It's the Red Bull is they've done one of two things. They've either used a device or something within their car that FIA have said, no, you shouldn't be, you can't use that. That's not in the spirit of the regulations. Remove it. And it's had an impact on their performance. Or we have seen the biggest fumble in F1 history by them changing the concept of their car and going down the complete wrong development path. And they've gone from being 20 seconds ahead or still 10 seconds ahead of the field at the start of the season to now being like that far behind in qualifying. Either way, it's bad on Red Bull. But for us fans, it's great because we have a more neutral championship now, shall we say. I say neutral, you know what I mean? Like, of course, the McLaren is still the best all-round car, but we're going into the race weekends still not overly really knowing who's going to be on pole position. I think, yes, with McLaren's performance last weekend, we expected maybe there'd be the team to beat again. But Mercedes are pushing it. I mean, the top 6 were separated by just over a tenth and a half. That's not a lot. And Lewis Hamilton is in 6th, was gutted and said he should have been on pole position because he made an error into turn 1 and he made an error in the last corner. So it could easily have been shifted around. So it's great. It's great for the fans as a championship. We want closer championships. Even if you support Max Verstappen and Red Bull, I think you get more of a buzz and you get more of a satisfaction out of drivers and teams winning a hard-fought championship battle than you do just dominating it. And I think that's the case in any sport. So, hey Cisco, good to see you. Watching from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, after being a bit... Here's to your recovery, Peter. Watching from India, nice one. Consistent Charles is back. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, don't write Ferrari off today. I mean, look, I think the start is definitely key. If McLaren have those issues again off the start, that has reared its ugly head in Zandvoort, it could be a difficult race for them. We don't know if overtaking is going to be easier this year. Of course, they've extended the DRS by 100 meters to assist with that. But yeah, I mean, it's not like McLaren are overly quick in a straight line compared to the rest of the teams. You're talking about 1 mile an hour difference in the speed traps. The only team that is considerably slower in the speed traps is Red Bull, which is why I think it's going to be a struggle for Max to finish in the top 5. I think for Max to finish in the top 5, I genuinely think he needs some DNFs from the Ferraris and the Mercedes. Just on merit, on pace alone, I don't think the Red Bull's got it. But we'll see. We'll see. Hey, morning. To be honest, I'd like to see a Tour de France type scoring system where you time racing is your score and it all gets added for the races and a DNF is a set amount of time after the last finisher. I don't know. Red Bull definitely was using asymmetric braking earlier in the season. Well, I think it's one of two things. I'm still not ruling that out. I think people can deny it as much as possible. We have proof in plenty of cases throughout history of F1 where teams have denied any wrongdoing. People have said, no, like they haven't done this, they haven't done that. And then it gets leaked that actually, yeah, they did. So, yeah, we'll see. Or they've made the biggest fumble in their whole, in one of the biggest in F1's history. Because apparently, the rumours are that Adrian Newey potentially told the engineers at Red Bull at the start of the year, don't go in this direction, and they ignored him. And now we're potentially seeing them ignoring Adrian Newey, and what the result of that is. So, race starts on the hour. So race starts just over half an hour. We'll give it a couple of more minutes just for people to filter in, and then we'll have a look at our race strategy options for today. Very intriguing, and the tyre allocations as well. I've switched system, Loro. I have been using OBS because it's a bit more easier on my CPU and on my system. But primarily, it seems to struggle. The chat function I've got seems to struggle with obviously all you guys, with all your messages, and it seems to kind of crash. So I've gone back to Streamlabs, which I'm just going to keep using for watch-alongs now, because I know that chat function works and we'll have no issues. So OBS will be for sim racing, and then yeah, Streamlabs will be for this. But just a little bit behind the scenes there, guys. Hey, Elfie. You're a Max fan, Jasper. The domination was nice, but I never watched the races because I knew who the winner was going to be. Now he's not dominating his back like the old times. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, and Lewis Hamilton said it throughout the course of his time, even when he was winning championships and winning those races. And he said it again in an interview recently, and he went, winning from pole position is boring. Like he said, he goes, winning from pole position and winning by that amount of seconds is boring. He goes, winning by coming through the field or racing someone is what we get a buzz from. And that's the same in sim racing. I'm the same, and I don't win very often because I'm always racing against guys who are faster than me. But on the rare occasion that I do start from pole position and I am the fastest driver out there and I win from start to finish, it is boring. It is. I much prefer having a very tight battle for first or for second, and coming away from that going, oh my god, what an experience, that is racing. And I remember those more than I do starting from first and just winning to the end. And that's why we've seen the comments from Max saying, if this continues, I won't be in F1 for very long, because he's bored. He was bored. So hence all the memes while he was just watching Netflix on his wheel. But yes, thank you for everyone for tuning in. Much appreciated. Good to see you all. Bradley, no, you never have to apologise. Never have to apologise for not being able to make a watch-along. I appreciate every time that you can tune in or when you can tune in. So, yeah, it's good to see you, buddy, and anyone else as well. Never feel like you have to apologise, guys. Been racing online since 2020. I still haven't won an online race competitively. There's plenty of time for that. How do I think McLaren will do with its new upgrades? Will either Lando or Oscar win, or will you see a Ferrari win? I think we're going to see a Lando win. I do agree. I've been listening to Sky Sports. I do agree that, look, you have to prioritise Lando Norris now. If Oscar gets down into turn one ahead of Lando, they need to basically just drive off into the distance, not fight each other, and then give that team order. Lando is going to go ahead of you, because realistically, Oscar isn't going to win this World Championship. Lando can. So I think you just have to prioritise Lando now with eight races remaining. So it's hard on Oscar, but we're at a point in the season now where you have to make that decision. And then next year, Oscar, if he hits the ground running, he can warrant that championship fight. So can Lando beat Max Verstappen in the Driver Championship? Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see after today. Championship may 100% be back on. But right, that's enough chatting just for the time being. Let's jump in. I think there's plenty of you in here. We have a look at the strategies. Let's go. Right. Here we are, guys. Here we are. So, as I predicted, or I say predicted, as I've stated, we have a potential of a two-stopper here today at Monza. It is genuinely suggested by Pirelli, and that is very, very rare that you see that suggested in Monza, and that is primarily due to the increased degradation that the drivers are seeing, or the teams are seeing, on their tyres, and well, that is primarily due to the new track surface that has been laid at Monza, and yeah, you can see there that a two-stopper ideally with the two hard compounder tyres, which we haven't seen any of the teams run other than just scrubbing them off for a single lap. Haven't seen that be used at all, that tyre or compounder tyre, throughout the course of this weekend thus far in the practice sessions. So the one stopper is the traditional strategy that you see at Monza, but because of that increased tyre deg, I think it's going to be very close between... I think we're going to see a very intriguing race here today at Monza, with the teams having to do some tyre management. And it's going to be one of those where it's right in between. It's almost like a 1.5 stopper, really. That's what you need, a 1.5 stopper. So Let's see who decides to pull the trigger first and try and do the undercuts. Of course, there's always the possibility of safety cars, which I think we're going to see here today. I just think someone's going to push, especially with this extra tyre deck. Someone's going to lose it at Parabolica. Just got a feeling. So we'll see. But yeah, I'd be surprised if anyone starts on the hard compound tyre. The medium compound leaves you open for that two-stopper, especially if there's like a safety car, so forth. Anyone tries to start on the hard, I think it is a bit of a gamble. So, yeah. Great, it's time for team orders. Yeah, I do. Possibility of McLaren DNF. I think the only way there's ever going to be a DNF with cars now these days is if there is a crash. Mechanical issues, very rarely do they have mechanical issues now, although Haas have had a couple over the course of this weekend, haven't they? Red Bull struggling with speed. Agreed, yeah. It's not so much long pace, it's just the fact of it they're slow, Jasper. So, like, I don't think they're really that hard on the tyres, but their pace is a bit... I think they just don't have the top speed. So, hey, Mario, good to see you. You're here within plenty of time. Hey, you're 76 and a long-time fan, best race to date recently. Oh, thank you, buddy, much appreciated. And especially coming from someone who's been watching the sport for a very long time. So, yeah, I appreciate that, man. Russell will never do another one-stopper after his previous disqualification. Well, no, he will do. He just won't go to the toilet beforehand. If he's like, I need to go to the loo, no, I'm going to hold on to it to ensure he's not underweight. Sorry. Do I think they've been told to change something in the RB car? I see. So I'll touch on this just one last time. I do think there's two possibilities. There's one that they have had a part on their car that they've been told to alter or remove under the spirit of the regulations. I think it's either the biggest coincidence in all time that they've clarified that rule, and it's coincided with Red Bull's drop-off, and they're experiencing the same issues that a device and a system like that removing a device and a system like that would cause. Is very coincidental and the biggest coincidence in F1 history, or it is a case of they have made the biggest fumble, one of the biggest fumbles in F1 history, by changing a dominant concept, ignoring supposedly Adrian Newey's advice of not going down this route, and they've gone from dominating from even at the start of the season to 10 seconds a lap. 10 seconds a lap, that'd be really a lot, wouldn't it? 10 seconds a race to now being like half a second behind in quality. Like, that's a massive and dramatic change in performance. So either way, both are just as bad, but it's great for us F1 fans. So yeah. Anywho, right, that is the strategies here, guys. That is the strategies. So let's have a look at the tyre allocations and see which strategy is available to each team. And this is the first time I'm actually seeing this as well, guys. And, well, you can see there, the top 8 cars all have the same tyre allocation available to them. They all have 2 brand new sets of hards, 1 brand new set of mediums, and 3 used sets of softs. So, lots of both of those one-stop and two-stop strategies are open to the teams today. I do think we're going to see the top 8 start on the medium compound tyre because it just leaves them open, of course, to an opportunity of a one-stop or a two-stop. Will someone like Ferrari start one of their drivers on the hard compound, or will Hamilton start on the hard? I'd be surprised. But that is the top 8 teams. Now, Stroll and Alonso have scrubbed off a set of tyres, as has Bottas and Tsunoda and Zhou there. You can see with them indicating they've got used tyres. They're not used. They've just taken the shine off them to try and get temperature into them a bit quicker. But it seems to be everyone has got pretty much the same allocation of tyres. It's just Tsunoda there with 3 new sets of soft tyres because he started... because he didn't make it out of Q1. Same with Colapinto with 2 sets of softs. I wonder if any of those might start on the softs at the start of the race to try and make up some positions early. Maybe bank on a safety car. Yeah, that's basically it, to be honest. I think it's open in regards to strategy. A lot of it today is going to be relying on the tyre deck to see if to see how much the tyres really fall off. I think we are going to see Are the tyres really going to fall off a cliff here? I think it's going to be a very uncharacteristic Monza race today. Stroll 3-0 stop option. No, what are you talking about? That's Sonoda. That'll be either Ricciardo or Sonoda. The RB team have flipped a coin, and they've already decided who's getting the poor strategy today of Ricciardo and Sonoda. But even if the regulation clarification wants to do a Red Bull, wouldn't that only impact their balance under braking and maybe tyre deg? So the idea of it is that it would allow for more sufficient turning. So it would ensure that the car can turn in for the corners, and it would. So brake balance, if you think of it, what's allowed with brake balance is that you move the brake balance forward and backwards, right? The asymmetric braking is side to side. So it would allow for you, for a left-hander, to have more, obviously, braking on the left side of the car or the right, whichever way it is, like right side, left side. And it would ensure that you don't use more of the tyre when you're leaning. So if you're going for a left-hand corner, you wouldn't lean so much on the right-hand side, and vice versa, and it would massively help with the tyre deg. Now, what we've seen with the Red Bull now is that it's becoming more difficult to turn for the corners. Max really likes the car on the nose. He's getting lots of understeer, and with that understeer and that sliding, he is getting, obviously, more tyre degradation and more tyre wear. And the Red Bull's strength throughout the course of this regulation set has been its tyre management. Like, it could go faster for longer, and now, of course, it's sliding around more and it's lost that advantage, and it's killing its tyres a lot sooner, which means they have to drive slower to manage the tyres better. So yeah, massive trade-off. It's either a massive fumble from the Red Bull's engineer's part, or it's the case of a part that the car potentially was designed around has been told to be removed. I don't know. It will come out at some point. They're insisting it's the fact of it they've gone down the wrong route, but we have history of the FIA not being open and transparent when they've told teams to change parts on the car. Ferrari most recently with the fuel line intake, that was never disclosed. The fine has never been disclosed about Ferrari being fined about it, and it had to come from a leak to tell us that that's exactly what happened with them. And that was after the season as well ended. That wasn't during the season. So yeah, if it is that, it will come out at some point, but not right now. But yes, here we go, guys. That is the tyre allocations for today. So going back to the strategy, you can see every team has the option really of one or the other. We could see the soft compound tyre from someone like Yuki, someone like Colapinto at the back of the grid to try and make up some positions at the start of the race, but that could potentially throw their strategy out of whack because if there's not a safety car, that's going to be a detriment to themselves. But I think, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one today with the tyre deck in particular. But every team open, really, leaving themselves open with their options for a one-stop or a two-stop. Now, let's have a look at the tyre offset here. So you can see, well, of course, the soft is the quickest and the medium is 2.5 tenths slower in race trim, with the hard compound tyre being nearly 7 tenths slower in race trim. But, of course, the trade-off is how long they're going to last for. And then let's have a look at the pit lane time loss. So I do predict there's going to be a safety car today, guys, with that track, with the cars like we're having some offs through the second Lesmo yesterday in qualifying, and of course we've seen some wobbles through Parabolica, which is the last corner. I think we're going to see someone crash it today, and you can see here that the safety car pit stop is 15 seconds, so that's an 8-second gain if you can pit under a safety car or a VSC compared to the green flag, which is 23 seconds. So when we're looking at the intervals today, guys, as always, keep an eye out for the 23-second gap. That is what teams are going to be looking out for in regards to bringing the front runners in and ensuring they don't get pit into traffic. So keep an eye out on those gaps to ensure for you guys to know where they are going to be, of course, looking at. So 20% chance of rain. That's interesting. Very interesting. I didn't think it was even that high. 32 degrees air temp. So yeah, that is basically it today, guys. So you can see here, oh, interesting. Previous deployments, 2016 to 2023. So over the last, how many years is that now? That's 7 years. Over the last 7 years, 7 races, we've had a 50% chance, of 50% deployment of a safety car. We've had a 38% chance of, or 38% deployment of the VSC, and then we've had the red flag, 13%. I think that's one race where we've had the red flag. So, do I think this team's drivers should have to use all 3 tyre compounds for our race? I think it would spice up the races a little more. No, I don't think so. I think because there is... I don't think we should make 2-stop races mandatory, because then they become a bit... I think they can become... It's a bit artificial, really, in regards to creating entertainment. Sometimes, some of the best races we've had are when there's... It's more so on the choice of tyre compound, and that is basically down to Pirelli. I think in the past they've been very conservative with the choice of tyre compound, and what we see sometimes are races just being a very, very easy one-stop. The best races, in my opinion, are the ones where, like today, where I think it's, and I could be eating my words here, we'll see come the end of the race, but like today, where it's a one-stop is doable and is normal, but you're going to have to do some tyre management, and the 2-stopper, you may have some guys on the 2-stopper chasing down those on the 1-stopper who are having to tyre manage, and then there's a convergence of a driver who's on kind of used tyres has to defend from someone who's on the fresher tyre. So they're kind of the best races where you can make a 1-stop work, but a 2-stop is kind of just as quick, and you're then going to have that convergence and have that battle out on track. So I don't. If you had it to make it mandatory that they have to use all 3 tyre compounds, you're making a 2-stop mandatory, and I think that's a bit artificial. So it's more about selecting the right tyre choices, tyre compounds. Is there a reason for safety or something why they don't just have an open tyre choice anymore with the super hard and super softs? It's just down to... I don't know what the reasons are behind that, to be honest with you. It's just the rules. Try and control F1. So Colapinto over Sargent. He's definitely done well thus far. Hopefully he can make his way up the grid. He had a big wobble yesterday, didn't he, for the second Lesmo? And very well handled from him. He could have maybe got into Q2. I think he's got the pace in that Williams to make up positions today. So it'd be interesting to see if he can... do some on-track overtaking. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on Colapinto today, guys, and see how he gets on. How old am I, Stuffy? How rude, Gabriel. How rude. I'm only joking. I don't mind. I'm 32. I'm 33 next month, actually. No, I don't look it. Why did Williams deny Liam Lawson and Mick Schumacher for Logan Sargent's replacement for the second seat? Because Liam Lawson supposedly... I think they did want Liam Lawson, but Red Bull didn't want to let him go. And Mick Schumacher, James Vowles just isn't overly impressed with Mick Schumacher. I don't think Mick Schumacher is as widely regarded up and down the paddock as what some fans believe him to be. Haas, I still think he probably deserves another opportunity, but will he get that opportunity? I don't know. I don't think he will. But yeah. He would rather put some more development into Colapinto, give him 9 races where he can get experience in the car and in actual F1 races. And yeah, you've then got a driver who can then step up if Carlos Sainz or Alex Albon jump ship to a team somewhere else, you know, further up the grid. Because that's ideally what they're both looking at. While they've got a great driver lineup next year, Williams with Sainz and Albon, they're not thinking about building Williams up. They're thinking about, this is just a stopgap for me to try and get into maybe a Red Bull seat, a Mercedes seat or whatever, or another team who maybe hits the ground running with the new regs, you know. So too many good drivers, and yeah, there are. Let's see if Colapinto overtakes Stroll. I'm backing that. You're 40 in 2 weeks, Wonk. Good age. Don't they drive to tyre management, fuel management nowadays rather than driving as fast as possible all the time? Yes. Yeah. But I used to have this thinking of, and this used to be a bit of an issue for me, where I was like, why don't they just go 100% all the time? But then part of F1 that is interesting is the tyre management. Like, as I've got older, I've come to realise the strategy element of F1 and how important that is. And And it's not all about just how fast these drivers can go. There's the element of looking after the tyres. There's the element of strategy. And I think that's what makes F1 special. But I think there are times when the tyre compounds are incorrect as well. And that could help assist. But Pirelli, credit where it's due, they have made improvements with their selections this year. And I think we've had better races because of it. So, sad eagle noises after Logan was dropped. You're 68 on Thursday. Well, happy birthday for Thursday, Rob. Good age. Good age. It's really interesting to see. I'm not asking for anyone to, by the way, tell me their ages, but it's great to see. Obviously, we have someone who's... Peter, apologies. I've already forgotten your age. Was it 72 you said you was? But it's great to see we've got people of all ages, all different nationalities in here. It's great to see. Truly, truly building a great community here, guys. And I'm glad I could be kind of an anchor point for that. How do people supporting Lando letting Oscar pass in Silverstone feel now? Hungary. It was Hungary. Lots of many black suits, black hats and sunglasses hanging outside McLaren paddock. But yes, guys, so that is the strategies for today. Let's change scene because hopefully the data is ready for us to set up. Not yet. Oh, actually, just as I said that, bosh. There we go. The data has just gone live, so I can set up and we can get crack-a-lacking. You're 18 camo. Good age. Good age. I remember those. I remember when I was 18. Long time ago now. '74, Anthony. Good age. All right. Oh, Oscar Piastri is just informed there's some rainstorms around the track, so we could get some rain. Wow, 40% chance of rain. Let's show you this, guys. Hopefully this is all set up correctly. There we go. So you can see here, 40% chance of rain. And we've just had that confirmed by Oscar Piastri as well, indicating that there is a possibility of rain today as there are rainstorms swirling the track. So that'll really throw a spanner in the works to this race, wouldn't it? Oh, hang on. Is it up, down? There we go. Oh, yeah, they're looking at them, and they are in the background, so... 46 September 12th. I'm September 21. Do you remember the 21st night of September? Actually have a song after my birthday. So, hey, Ronaldo. Good to see you, mate. Anyone realise the hashtags for the race and are for Zandvoort, not Monza? Are they, Roo? Thank you for informing me of that, because I will have to alter it. Are correct indeed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't think tags really have too much of an effect when it comes to YouTube anyway. So... but you never know. It may help a little bit. Hey Yui, hey Lee, good to see ya. September 3rd. Lots of September babies in here. Hey Giorgio, Max or Lando today? Lando today for sure. So let's have a rundown again of this grid for today, guys. So we have Norris and Piastri all front row, McLaren front row there, Papaya front row, as you can see. Really going to be intriguing to see if Lando once again has an opportunity to break that record. Has led from pole position 6 times now and has failed to lead at the end of the lap, of the first lap. Of course, that didn't matter last time around at Zandvoort, as he was able to easily overtake Max Verstappen by this time, and yeah, got it done out on track. But of course, a lot more essential here today, because he needs to If he lets his teammate get in front of him, it makes things a little bit more difficult. Of course, if he lets George Russell get in front of him, that could really, that'll really throw a spanner in the works for Norris's race today. But George Russell, of course, in P3, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz in 4th and 5th, Lewis Hamilton in 6th. Just over a 10th and a half separating those top 6 drivers. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc really kicking themselves yesterday, but they both thought they could have been on pole position if it wasn't for just a couple of little mistakes. Those are the fine margins now in the top 8 cars, really. Even the Red Bulls, of course, Monza's a very unique circuit, of course. I don't think they have the package here at Monza. They don't have that pace advantage that they used to have, and they haven't really got a Monza specific wing here this weekend. It's similar to what they used in Spa. So you can see Verstappen in 7th, Perez in 8th. Of course, if Lando Norris finishes in 1st place, gets the fastest lap, and Max Verstappen finishes where he has qualified in 7th as it stands, be an 18-point swing by the end of today. So that is that will bring the points down to 52 point gap it would be at the end of today. But we'll see if Verstappen can make some moves. Of course, is he going to be aggressive at the start of this race? Would he potentially cause himself some damage? I'm intrigued to see how Max handles this race today, especially at the start. Alex Albon in P9, Hulkenberg in P10, Alonso in P11. You would think, really, that those 3 are fighting for those last points positions there in 9th and 10th, so that'd be an intriguing fight in the midfield today. Daniel Ricciardo in 12th, Madison 13th, Gasly 14th, Ocon 15th, Tsunoda in 16th, Stroll 17th, Colapinto in his first ever F1 race after replacing Logan Sargent in 18th. I expect him to make some positions up today in that pacey Williams. Hopefully he is able to progress today. We'll keep an eye on his race. And then you got, of course, the 2 green wheelie bins, Bottas and Zhou at the back there. Very slow from them. Will the Silver Arrows challenge for a win? I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong. In regards to race pace. Supposedly, the Mercedes are quite confident in their race pace. But I do think Norris and Piastri, if they get ahead, single file at the end of the first lap, I think it's quite comfortable for McLaren. But of course, I do think we're going to get a safety car here. Maybe we'll get some rain, throw a spanner in the works. No one's spoken about kind of expecting rain this weekend, so yeah. But track temperature 54 degrees as well. The hottest we've seen this weekend, 54 degrees. It was just above 50 degrees yesterday in qualifying. So that is not going to help, of course, with the degradation today. If Piastri ends where he is and Perez where he is, they are equal on constructors. Wow. Well, yeah, if it ends up like it is today, I believe it is Norris McLaren will overtake Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship today, guys, if they finish 1st and 2nd. And Verstappen and Perez finish where they are. It's only 30 points they need. So, yeah, it'd be a big swing. And, of course, what a day it could be for Lando and the McLaren team. Mercedes and Ferrari upset is still on the table, yeah. It's going to be an interesting fight between the McLarens and Ferrari as well. Mark my words, it'll be a McLaren 1-2. Piastri gets better start, but Norris wins. Yes, that's the worry, isn't it? So, for Lando fans. Why is Sainz always on P5? It'd be funny to see Piastri and Nosti crash and DNF. Oh, imagine that. Absolutely imagine that. Right, let's just bring up some things here. So I'm going to bring up the unwanted race control messages, because there may be some race control messages today that we need to keep an eye out on. I don't think we're going to have any issues with track limits, of course. Monza's quite easy to keep a track of track limits because of the gravel. But we'll keep an eye on that. Max Verstappen will win the race today. I think that's a bit of wishful thinking, to be honest. Bit of wishful thinking. But anyway, guys, thank you for everyone who is tuning in. We are only minutes away from the formation lap getting underway. And, of course, from those tyre blankets getting taken off the cars. And we will see who is starting on what tyre. I do believe that everyone is going to be starting on the medium compound tyre. But we will see. We will see. Thank you for the subs coming in, by the way. Thank you, Joe, for the recent sub. And anyone else who has subbed in the meantime. We are trying to hit 30,000 subs on this channel at the moment. So if you haven't done, please do. And, of course, hit the like button as well. We're at 188 likes. Let's see if we can get that to 500. Let's see if we can get that to 500. One of Piastri, maybe. 4th 40% chance of rain. We will see. Yeah, we will see. Your friends will bet who will win. If Norris doesn't win, I have to eat a spoonful of cinnamon. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Chat's working today. Yeah, I've changed system today. So we're on the old one. So hopefully that's a bit more easy for you. And here we go. Tyre blankets are off, guys. Tyre blankets off. And as you can see, everyone, interesting. Verstappen and Perez, both the Red Bull cars, starting on the hard compound tyre. Now, there are 2 hard compound tyres available to the top 8 teams today. But wow, interesting. Alternative strategy. That, to me, clearly indicates, of course, as we know, the Red Bull is not confident in its pace at all. They're trying something different. Potentially goal hang for a safety car. Potentially goal hang for a red flag or rain. Something different to ensure that they can go long on this first stint and get track position for one of those potential outcomes. So that's their only one. That's the clear indication that they are not happy with their race pace, because I mean, then again, I say it's clear indication when you're in those positions and when the top 8 cars are so similar in performance. It is tough to overtake. You need a big delta, and there's no guarantee that with the extension of the DRS by 100 meters, the overtaking is going to be easier today. So maybe it's actually a genius decision for them, and maybe one of the top teams of Russell or Hamilton should go longer. Maybe Hamilton should have started on the hard compound tyre, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the race. But yes, Verstappen and Perez, you would assume, will go, of course, a lot longer on that hard compound tyre, while the top 6 pit ahead of them. We also have, you see there, Ocon, Tsunoda, Stroll and Bottas starting on the hard compound tyre as well. So no soft compounds for any of those at the back. I thought maybe Tsunoda might start on a soft compound tyre, but yeah, even with 3 brand new sets available, he is not doing that. It's time for Kick Saber to get one. Can Hamilton pass both Ferraris? Potentially, yeah, we'll see. We will see. I mean, the thing is it's really about the DRS. Is the DRS going to be effective? Of course, it's less effective at low downforce circuits or with low downforce setups, because the rear wing is a lot skinnier. So that drag reduction system, as it of course is its meaning, has less effectiveness, hence why they've extended it 100 meters from last year. So hopefully that does provide closer racing and at least more opportunities to get side by side down into the first corner. But we're only moments away, guys, from this well, it's 2 o'clock, it's on the hour at the moment, and well, the formation lap should be getting underway any second now. My pleasure, Louis. My pleasure. There we go, guys. We are underway. We are underway. So I'm going to end the poll. And, well, where do you guys think? Where do you guys think that Max Verstappen is going to end up today? That is the real question. I didn't ask who's going to win this race. We have over 1,000 votes. 57% of you think he's going to finish in the top 5. Only 10% of you think he's going to finish first. And 26% finish outside the top 5. So no, I have a lot more faith in Max Verstappen than I think, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll see. If he finishes in the top 5, that is a very, very good race for Max today. I think that is damage limitation. He needs, I think the only way he's finishing in the top 3 is if we have like a severe downpour. And that higher downforce wing, or that rear wing, is a bit more effective than the skinny wing that the other teams are running. But or there's some DNFs. So right, hey Taco, good to see you, mate. Welcome, welcome. Hey Scott. But here we go, moments away from this race getting underway. If you can hit that like button, let's get to 500 likes before this race starts. Over 2,000 of you here for this Italian Grand Prix at Monza. We're in for a good one. It's interesting that there's a gap and an interval time up already for the formation lap. It's not often you see that. It's not often, but here we go, guys. Here we go. Do I think Lando leads into T1? If he gets a decent start and the McLaren doesn't have any issues. So we'll see. We'll see. Hey, Shelby. Welcome, everyone. Sib. Dave. Let's go. So, one more time. Let's run through the grid for this Italian Grand Prix. No post-qualifying penalties. So it is Lando Norris in pole position. Lining up alongside him is his teammate Oscar Piastri with a McLaren all front row. George Russell in third. Charles Leclerc in fourth. Carlos Sainz in fifth. Lewis Hamilton in sixth. The Red Bull of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez starting on the hard compound tyre in 7th and 8th. Williams of Albon in 9th. Nico Hulkenberg in 10th. Fernando Alonso in 11th. Daniel Ricciardo in 12th. Magnussen 13th. Gasly 14th. Ocon 15th. Tsunoda in 16th, also on the hard compound tyre. Stroll 17th. Colapinto in 18th. And bringing up the rear are the Stake F1 cars or the Sauber cars as Bottas and Zhou. Moments away here, guys, for the start of this Grand Prix as they're lining up on the grid. Lando Norris is in his grid position, as are those behind slotting in. We'll just have to wait for the two Sauber cars or Stake F1 cars to get in position. Of course, it's a very long run down into T1, one of the longest on the calendar. Not the longest, but one of. And, well, if you get a poor start here, you can lose a number of positions down into that first chicane. Of course, slightly altered this year compared to last year. A little bit more room for them, but we will find out if they'll all make it through safely and without incidents very, very shortly. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Here we go. So, Zhou has lined up on the back of the grid. The Italian Grand Prix is only moments away. And it is lights out, green light, and away we go. Head down to the first corner for the first time, and it seems like Lando Norris has got ahead of his teammate. 2 attempts already down into the first corner. Has Lando been able to narrowly start as Colapinto's lost a position to Bottas? We've seen Ricciardo gain two positions, position, and Alonso, and it seems to be everyone's got through safely through the first corner. George Russell, has he been able to maintain? It seems like he lagged a little bit there as he lost a couple of positions to the Ferraris, and George Russell's lost 3 positions at the first corner. Leclerc, Sainz and Hamilton and Verstappen 4 positions, and Piastri's got ahead of Norris down into turn 4. Terrible there for Lando Norris as he's lost a position to his teammate, and Piastri already has a half a second lead. Norris has also been overtaken by Leclerc. Lando Norris is down into P3. He got a good start, but the overtake from his teammate, the unthinkable has happened as Lando has lost 2 positions, 1 to his teammate and 1 to Leclerc, and Lando is not going to lead at the end of the first lap once again, 7 times in a row now after being in P1, and it looks like Lewis Hamilton's going side by side with Carlos Sainz through the Ascari chicane, and he hasn't been able to get that move done as Sainz defends very well as George Russell lost the rear of the car and had to take avoiding action. That's why he lost 4 positions there, and at the first chicane he's actually okay, but very, very well done. But I cannot believe that Oscar Piastri has made the overtake on Lando Norris into that chicane. That is unbelievable. McLaren said they weren't going to give team orders, but Oscar Piastri is like, well, if I'm not going to be told otherwise, I'm going for this. And Lando Norris now has only 3 positions between him and Max Verstappen, who is in P6. DRS is now enabled, but I cannot believe that has happened. Russell picks up a position on Sergio Perez. So at the end of this first lap, we have Hulkenberg has lost 6 positions as well. I'm not entirely sure what happened with him. Maybe he had to take avoiding action at the start of this race. But it is Piastri from Leclerc, from Lando Norris, down 2 positions in P3. Carlos Sainz in 4th. Hamilton up a position in 5th, as is Max Verstappen on that position as well. There was a massive off there from Nico Hulkenberg. He went through the gravel, and I'm not entirely sure what happened. But wow, through the Ascari chicane, he really threw up a lot of dust there. But it is, yes, Hamilton in 5th, Verstappen in 6th, Russell in 7th, Perez in 8th, Albon in 9th, Alonso 10th, Ricciardo 11th, Magnussen 12th, Gasly and Ocon in 13th and 14th, Tsunoda in 15th, Hulkenberg down in 6 positions in 16th, Colapinto is past Lance Stroll in 17th position on the medium compound tyre, Stroll in 18th. And Max Verstappen is complaining about Lewis Hamilton not leaving him a card's width. So a bit of a coming together there we see between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. But wow, the big story here in the second lap of this race is that Lando Norris is down 2 positions after being overtaken by his teammate into turn 4. And subsequently, after being out of track position off the race in 9, Charles Leclerc went, thank you very much. But DRS now open. So let's see for the first time how effective this DRS is. And it's okay. It's about a 10th, it seems, there with Charles Leclerc not making much time up on the Ferrari. But Lando Norris now, all eyes on him, of course, trying to close that gap in the championship standings to Max Verstappen. The gap currently at 70 points, and he has an opportunity of closing that gap by 18 seconds today. But as he's in P3, that definitely will not be the case. But there's lots of dirt there on the braking down into the Ascari chicane into turn 8, which the drivers are braking into, and it may cause some visibility issues for the drivers behind as they head down into that chicane. But what a start from Oscar Piastri, but still stupid really from the McLaren team not to have team orders to tell Oscar Piastri to just sit behind his teammate and ensure that they pull away. But Oscar Piastri, interestingly, not able to pull away from Charles Leclerc at the stage of this race. Of course, Leclerc in the tow. No one be able to break the tow at the moment, other than it seems Lewis Hamilton, who's just broken the 1 second barrier from Max Verstappen down into turn 11. That's going to be essential for him, as apparently George Russell has a lot of damage, and Sergio Perez is reporting that it is dangerous that that he has lots of damage. Ricciardo and Hulkenberg being investigated for causing a collision, or Ricciardo in particular on Nico Hulkenberg. That's probably why he lost those positions and is down 6 places in 16th at the moment, and it's currently Alonso in that 10th place position as Hulkenberg regains a position there on Yuki Tsunoda as they're heading down into the first corner with the DRS open. He's got the move done before they even got down there, but then Tsunoda defends the position and regains it on Nico Hulkenberg. So we are seeing some action here at Monza today with the increase of that DRS zone by 100 metres, but we're starting to see a gap form with the front 8 teams, and we can see Lewis Hamilton now losing the DRS to the top 4 teams there. Verstappen has lost the DRS on Lewis Hamilton as well. George Russell, who has damage, trying to stay within Max Verstappen's DRS. Not sure how much damage George Russell has. I'm trying to see if he has any on the TV coverage. They haven't really shown it as of yet. But Oscar Piastri, 8 tenths ahead of Charles Leclerc. We can see Norris potentially dropping back by choice to back from Charles Leclerc. We know Lando Norris likes to do this. He likes to just sit back a little bit, look after those tyres if he knows he cannot go on the attack after a few laps. Of course, a very long race today. The degradation is going to be high, and if you want to make that one-stop strategy work, you need to be careful about leaning on this set of tyres. But yes, Oscar Piastri is leading by 8 tenths with 5 laps completed on Charles Leclerc. 4 laps completed on the 5th lap now, ahead of Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, of course, in front of the Tifosi, wanting to win this race for them fans. So I'm watching the race start, and Lando Norris actually got a very good start. He went straight over and covered off his teammates and led into the first chicane very, very well. As George Russell, I think, did he get tagged behind by Carlos Sainz? I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to see a replay again of it. But then Oscar Piastri just got an absolute slingshot around his teammate into turn 4. But the thing is that they had a sufficient gap between the Ferrari behind them. And of course, that's McLaren telling Oscar Piastri there are no team orders and you can go for it. So I'm watching George Russell. Where did he get the damage? And did he have a swapper there and think he could have ended up behind, could have gone into the back of the McLarens? Or did he get actually tapped from behind? I'm not sure. But right, Piastri in P1, Leclerc P2, Norris P3, Sainz P4, Hamilton P5, Verstappen P6, George Russell ahead of Sergio Perez now into P7. Well, it was before that, sorry. But wow, they actually, sorry, I didn't even realise. Lando and Piastri actually made contact through turn 4, and Lando got a bit of a tank swapper because of that wheel-on-wheel contact, and that allowed Charles Leclerc to get through. So really idiotic, really, when you think about it, from the 2 McLaren drivers. Of course, not for Oscar Piastri. He's been given the green light to attack, but idiotic from McLaren, who they have an opportunity of closing this championship battle in the Drivers' Championship, as Hulkenberg is pitting. Has he got damage? I'm not sure. Is this just an early undercut for Hulkenberg? It's most likely for damage, as he is now down into 20th position. Yuki Tsunoda down in 19th. Has Yuki Tsunoda got an issue? Has Yuki got an issue? He's just dropped positions there on the main straight to Bottas and Zhou. And the RB car of Yuki Tsunoda going very slowly here, it seems, as Hulkenberg has potentially caused an issue to Yuki Tsunoda, it seems. Another collision to Hulkenberg. He's been in the wars today. He's not getting back out there, and I think this is a retirement for Nico Hulkenberg. No, he's going again. He is going again. But Yuki Tsunoda Tsunoda has had a contact with Nico Hülkenberg. Yet to see exactly what happened on the TV coverage, but that is why Tsunoda just lost a few positions there down the main straight, potentially got damage. He's falling back from the Stake F1 cars. That is not good for Yuki. No doubt some front wing damage, we will see. But we can see there the gaps now. Look, drivers dropping back into that 1.5 second range to look after their tyres, and you can see there Yuki Tsunoda track limits at turn 2, lap 5, so last time around. So Yuki Tsunoda and Hülkenberg made contact at the first corner pretty much, or the first chicane, and that is why Yuki Tsunoda is dropping back from Zhou and Bottas. We will see, no doubt, Yuki Tsunoda come into the pit lane, but you can see there purple sectors being traded. George Russell last time out, Oscar Piastri in sector 3 and Sainz in sector 2. So just watching the replay of Nico Hülkenberg and Yuki Tsunoda down into turn 2, into the chicane, and Nico Hülkenberg, oh, it's so bad from Nico. That's a desperate move. A man who is out of position. He went for a late lunge, locked up, and just went straight into the side pod of Yuki Tsunoda. And unfortunately for Yuki, I think this is going to be a retirement, because there's nothing he can do to repair that damage. He has a gaping hole in the side of his car, and that is really unfortunate for Yuki Tsunoda, and a silly move for Nico Hülkenberg, but no doubt will result in a time penalty for Nico Hülkenberg. So real shame for Yuki Tsunoda. Nothing he could do there. The sort of move you see on iRacing, guys. The sort of move you see on iRacing. So yes, Nico Hülkenberg, been in the wars, had an incident with the other RB car of Daniel Ricciardo at the start of this race, which cost him 6 positions, and then trying to regain some of those positions, made a desperate move on Yuki into turn 1, and that is why he now has a gaping hole in the side of his car. But let's have a rundown of the current positions as we have now completed 7 laps and on to our 8th. Oscar Piastri being told he needs to hit plan B target lap. Plan B target lap, so potentially a one stop they're indicating. But yes, Oscar Piastri leads from Charles Leclerc by 0.8 of a second after overtaking Lando Norris into turn 4, the second chicane, which they are heading through right now at the start of this race. They actually made contact, the two teammates, and Lando Norris thankfully was able to keep control of the car, but lost another position to Charles Leclerc, who said thank you very much. Lando in P3 in that 1.5 second range, just looking after his tyres at this stage of the race, as he genuinely tends to do in the first stint of a race this season. Carlos Sainz up a position into 4th due to George Russell losing 4 positions, having to take to the escape road at turn 1 at the race start, as Yuki Tsunoda is in the pit lane. And unfortunately, I do believe this is going to be a retirement for Yuki Tsunoda. There's nothing that they can do in regards to it. Because unfortunately for Yuki, that is damage to the whole right-hand side of his car. It's not a front wing that can be replaced, and I think Yuki Tsunoda's race is over. Really, really sad for Yuki. Really, really sad, guys. Verstappen in, so Lewis Hamilton up a position into P5, 2 seconds back, and a 5-second time penalty. But Daniel Ricciardo forcing another car off the track. That is for his incident with Nico Hülkenberg at the start of this race. The incident that probably subsequently made Nico Hülkenberg desperate to make that lunge on Yuki down into turn 1. It wouldn't be surprised if we see, and also a time penalty for Nico Hülkenberg, as his race is pretty much over and done with anyway, as he is at the back of the grid. But yes, Yuki Tsunoda being wheeled back into the garage, and that is a confirmation of a retirement for Yuki Tsunoda, unfortunately for him. But Max Verstappen up a position into P6, George Russell into P7, and yes, confirmation there, 10-second time penalty, causing a collision, Nico Hülkenberg. So yeah, his race has gone absolutely horrendous. Currently down 9 positions, primarily caused by that incident with Daniel Ricciardo, which he has been given a 5-second time penalty for. But of course, Nico Hülkenberg, in his desperation to regain back some of those lost positions, has now caused it to give himself a 10-second time penalty with that collision with Yuki, which has retired him from this race. So Piastri is Charles Leclerc, the only driver, well, other than Sergio Perez, in the DRS of the car ahead. Lando Norris, 1.7 seconds back, just in that window of trying to look after the tyres, probably not lean on them through the likes of Parabolica and the Lesmos. That is really where you can lean on the tyres throughout this circuit. Of course, the chicanes are more so about the rear of the tyres, whereas the Lesmos and Parabolica are more so about the front tyres, especially that front left. But Russell is getting chased down by Perez. Russell supposedly has damage. I haven't been able to see actually any damage that George Russell has, unless it is to the rear of the car, or the rear underside of the car. But apparently Sergio Perez was reporting it. But as we move away from the top 8 at the moment in this first phase of this race, you can see Albon there. As you can see, Formula A and Formula B pretty much. Alex Albon, Alonso, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Ocon all fighting for those last points positions of 9th and 10th. Alex Albon has history here before, of course, of defending at Monza. Colapinto update, he is up 2 positions, of course, primarily due to Hülkenberg and Tsunoda's retirements. He did overtake Stroll at the start of this race, but Stroll has been able to regain that position. So Colapinto in 16th at the moment, and kind of just trying to stay with this pack. You would expect him in that Williams to be quicker than the 2 wheelie bins of Bottas and Zhou. And that's no disrespect to Bottas and Zhou, but that is just really the poor performance that the Stake F1 car has at the moment. Really do feel sorry in particular for Bottas, that he is trying everything he can to do in that car, but he just doesn't have the machinery underneath him. But Oscar Piastri setting fastest lap of the race there at 24.0, and what he's done there, importantly, he has removed Charles Leclerc from the DRS with those 2 purple sector times as Perez finally gets past George Russell into the first chicane. Has he been able to make it stick on George Russell? We will see, as Pierre Gasly, the first driver to on merit pit here and get out of DRS train. We'll see if this undercut works. Put in the trigger early, and no doubt committing to his 2-stop strategy. 2 hard tyres available to the majority of the field today. So Pierre Gasly committing to that undercut and that 2-stop strategy, no doubt. So we'll keep an eye out on his progression. We'll see if anyone responds to that first pit stop of Pierre Gasly on the 10th lap. But Piastri there, has pulled out 1.4 seconds now on Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris is starting to pull away from Carlos Sainz, comfortably sitting back at 1.6 seconds. Lewis Hamilton is 2.4 seconds back from Carlos Sainz. Max Verstappen staying actually relatively close to Lewis Hamilton. His pace isn't too bad on the hard compound tyre at the moment. Sergio Perez, as we know, just got past George Russell, who is down 5 positions due to that off and that move down the escape road at the start of the race. But shaping up to be a good one at the moment. But can Lando Norris close in on Charles Leclerc? You can see there the gap has just come down from about 1.7 seconds, 1.4 seconds maybe, down to 1.3. You do receive a tow at Monza from as far back as 3 seconds, as we see George Russell in the pits, Daniel Ricciardo in the pits as well. So George Russell, is he committing to a 2-stop strategy here? That's clearly what this is indicating for George Russell. Maybe they've seen some damage on the car as well, but with him being back in 8th position at the time of pitting, you might as well go for that alternative strategy to the 2-stop rather than be on like-for-like strategy on the 1-stop. As they are giving George Russell a new front wing. George Russell does have damage to his front wing, so that is why they are pitting him now, and no doubt that will put George Russell on a 2-stop strategy, a default 2-stop strategy, because he did indeed have damage. Yes, so George Russell had damage to his front right wing end plate. Not sure where he picked that up, potentially going through the escape road, maybe he collected one of the bollards there, but yeah, that is why George Russell is having to pit now for a brand new front wing. So a slow pit stop from him, obviously, with that new part. He is onto the hard compound tyre, and we'll see if he goes. He will probably go onto a 2-stop, as Daniel Ricciardo did respond to Gasly, but Gasly has been able to get an undercut done on Daniel Ricciardo there. So the undercut is powerful here still. But, of course, with the tyre deg, maybe Gasly will fall back into the clutches of Ricciardo sooner than expected. George lost front right end plate. Yes. Ricciardo started the pit round for Formula B. No, that was actually Gasly. Have I got music playing in the background? I do. Can you not hear it, though? Can you not hear it? You probably can't hear it after my, because of my my chat, basically, and my commentary. That's the word I was looking for. Alonso in the pits as well, on 13 laps on the medium compound tyres. So this is clearly indicating, I think, that we are going to see a two-stop strategy here today from a number of the teams. We'll see if the top teams do a one-stop or a two-stop, as Lando Norris closing the gap on Charles Leclerc now under 1.2 seconds. He is slowly chipping away 3 tenths faster than Charles Leclerc last lap around. Maybe he might even get DRS out of the exit of turn 10. No, not enough, but you would think that next time around he will be in the DRS of Charles Leclerc, as he is now 2.5 seconds back from Piastri and losing around 3 to 2 tenths a lap on the front running McLaren. And you can see there Lando is in the DRS, and he does get DRS. Apologies. So the detection line is a bit sooner, a bit later than expected. Previously, the detection line was on the entry to turn 11, but it must be kind of around turn 11 now, a bit later in the corner. But Norris now well within the DRS of Charles Leclerc, and you would think that it's only a matter of time before we see Lando Norris overtake that Ferrari and get back into P2 behind his teammate. And then we'll see if there are going to be team orders called. Be intriguing to see how McLaren handle this. I think they've handled it poorly at the start of the race by allowing them to fight in the manner that they did. But we'll see as this race progresses. We still have 40 laps remaining, guys. What happened for Russell and Tsunoda? See, if you're just joining us, unfortunately, Yuki Tsunoda had a Hail Mary of a lunge by Nico Hülkenberg down into turn 1. And what happened is that Hülkenberg took a chunk out of Yuki Tsunoda's side pod. He's been given a 10-second time penalty for that. So that's unfortunately meant Yuki has had to retire. George Russell had to take avoiding action at the start of the race and take to the escape road in turn 1. So where he had to zigzag through the bollards. I believe he has caught the front end of his wing plate and has caused himself damage, so he had to come in for an earlier pit stop and no doubt commit to a new front wing. So come on, Lewis. Yes, Lewis is currently 5 seconds coming into the pits. Wow, Lando Norris pitting, so a two-stop strategy no doubt for McLaren today. That is a clear indication that it is a two-stop strategy, and Lando Norris is pitting just as he was catching Charles Leclerc and potentially going to overtake him. Where is he going to come out? This is going to be interesting for the McLaren team, and Norris is going to come out and slot in behind Ocon and Lance Stroll. Interesting, very interesting strategy for the McLaren team here. George Russell sets the fastest first sector out of anyone. Let's see if anyone is going to respond to that. You do think McLaren of Lando will overtake Esteban Ocon down into turn 4? Maybe he won't, but he have an opportunity. He will. And box to overtake. Oh my God, Lando Norris. Oh my God, Lando Norris locked up as he entered the pits and hit the bollard on the entry to the pit lane. Very fortunate not to get front wing damage, but has he got did he enter the pit lane too quickly there? We'll see, but wow, that was very much on the limit as he was able to overtake Ocon pretty quickly, but apparently Lando on the radio complaining about the balance as Charles Leclerc responds to Lando Norris and is in the pit lane. Lewis Hamilton in the pit lane as well. So this is definitely two-stop strategy from the front teams as that promotes Verstappen up to P3. He's on the hard compound tyre, as is his teammate Sergio Perez, who is close behind. Of course, these guys going long and on the alternate strategy to those around them. But let's see where Charles Leclerc comes out. It looks like Lando Norris is going to get the undercut done on Charles Leclerc, and as McLaren suggested, pit box to overtake, and they have done exactly that with that extra lap undercut. Overtaking Ocon was essential, and Norris is now in net P2 as he gets past Charles Leclerc, and look at that gap already formed on Charles Leclerc. That is the nature of the undercut. It is powerful here. it is powerful here at Monza, and Norris has just shown us exactly why. So Zhou in the pit lane as well. Bottas on the back of Colapinto as he is up into P11. Hamilton, where did Hamilton come out? He came out in front of Colapinto and is currently how many seconds behind Charles Leclerc? He's 6 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. He's actually lost a bit of time there, Lewis Hamilton on Charles, but we'll see if Charles is able to now close the gap on Lando, but I don't think he will be able to. So Piastri, where is Piastri? Is Piastri going to go to a one-stop, or is he in the pit lane? And his icon is slowing down, and Piastri is into the pits. Piastri into the pits. So let's see where Lando Norris comes out behind Lando Norris. Says Ricciardo is incident involving Ricciardo failing to serve time penalty correctly. Oh no, Ricciardo's day could just go from bad to worse here. But Lando Norris, is he going to get the undercut done on his teammate Piastri? We saw them last year come out side by side down into turn 1. It's going to be close as Alex Albon comes past Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris is going to be on the back of his teammate, but he has Alex Albon in between him, and he's definitely closed that gap on his teammate there as they head down into turn 1. There's only just over 2 seconds, it was just under 2 seconds separating the two McLaren drivers now. They have a Williams of Alex Albon yet to make a pit stop in between them, as Colapinto comes into the pits as well, and that is definitely a committal to a 2-stop. As Sainz reporting, these guys will struggle to go to the end. So if it is a one-stop strategy, as Carlos Sainz suggests, it is going to be long for them to go. It's going to be a struggle for them to get to the end. I still think this is a 2-stop strategy. I do. I think them pitting when they did, I think 37 laps on a set of hard compound tyres is going to be a stretch. Definitely. But we will see, guys. We will see. If you're enjoying this stream, guys, please hit the like and subscribe button. It'd be much appreciated. We only have 459 likes. If you could get this to 1,000 likes, it'd be much appreciated. We're trying to hit 30,000 subscribers as well this weekend. That'd be great. If you could see that number at the bottom of your screen there, I can't point directly. That'd be great if you could get that ticking over. As Charles Leclerc wondering, why did we not stay out if we are undercut? Interesting. McLaren is going to give you a heart attack one day. Will Verstappen catch Hamilton? Well, I don't know. I mean, they're going long. They're on a different strategy. 3.5 seconds. Verstappen is behind Carlos Sainz at the moment as Alex Albon now frees Lando Norris to be able to chase down his teammate, but he does have Charles Leclerc in his slipstream and within the DRS, but of course that is primarily due to Alex Albon backing up Lando Norris for those couple of laps. So Lando now chases on. So an additional 10-second time penalty for Daniel Ricciardo for failing to serve time penalty correctly. So he still has, I believe, a 15-second. He now has a 15-second time penalty as Hamilton gets past Lance Stroll into turn 4, dispatching the Aston Martin driver. But yes, an additional time penalty there for Daniel Ricciardo. Absolute shocker. Lando Norris ready? Likely we'll have to cover for the other car. That was interesting. The RBs are just saving tyres at this point. How do you serve a time penalty correctly? So they obviously touched the car too quickly. They didn't do it within 5 seconds. So yeah, they're not supposed to come in, serve the penalty, not touch the car for 5 seconds, and then start working on it. As Oscar Piastri sets the fastest lap of the race, and then that's swiftly taken away from Lando Norris, and then swiftly taken away from Charles Leclerc, as Charles Leclerc has the DRS and is in the tow of the McLaren, and is not going anywhere, as Lando Norris no doubt looks in his rearview mirrors and sees that red Ferrari. The Tifosi chasing him on, but Carlos Sainz 3.4 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen on the hard compound tyres. Sergio Perez 1.9 seconds further back. He's not doing too bad today. Sergio Perez seems to be on similar pace to his teammate at this stage, but who is yet to still make a pit stop. We have Sainz yet to make a pit stop for Verstappen, Perez, Ocon, Stroll, Bottas, who is up 9 positions in P10, but yet to make a pit stop. And the others behind have all made pit stops. So I think we're still going to see a 2-stop here. I'd be very surprised if these drivers are able to take these tyres to the end. But we will see. We will see. So at the moment, the gaps, you can see there, Charles Leclerc staying within the toe of Lando Norris, who is just chipping away slightly at his teammate. 2 seconds back from Oscar Piastri at the moment. Charles Leclerc, though, 8 tenths back from Norris, as Sainz now comes into the pit lane. 18 laps on the mediums, and Max Verstappen is your current leader of this race. Doing the alternate strategy, starting on the hard compound tyre, and it is currently a Red Bull 1 and 2. Verstappen first, Perez second, Sainz third, but now Piastri regains third position, and Norris and Leclerc as Sainz comes out of the pit lane. But is Sainz going to get ahead of Hamilton here, as Hamilton has got the toe of Esteban Ocon? He has the DRS open. It's going to be very close between the Ferrari, the Alpine and the Mercedes as they head down into turn 1, and Esteban Ocon holds position on Carlos Sainz there, and Carlos Sainz manages to keep the Alpine of Ocon between him and Hamilton, and that's essential for the Ferrari driver, as Hamilton has 4-lap warmer tyres than Carlos Sainz. You would think Lewis Hamilton, though, with the toe very close behind Esteban Ocon, is going to get ahead of him down into turn 4. And with quick succession, he has dispatched Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon, and can now set his sights on the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, as Lance Stroll slots in between Nico Hulkenberg and behind Colapinto. So Colapinto has regained that position on Lance Stroll there with that earlier pit stop with 3-lap fresher hard compound tyres, but Lance Stroll now on the softer, quicker, medium compound tyre compared to Colapinto and those around him who are on the hard. But Norris, that gap now down to 1.7 seconds on his teammates. He is chipping away at it. That is for sure. As last time around, Oscar Piastri had a bit of a wobble, it seems, as he was half a second slower than Lando Norris, it seems. There's a 23.9 and a 23.8, so another tenth, and 6 tenths pretty much Lando Norris has taken out of his teammate in the last couple of laps. But of course, with Leclerc in the DRS, he is snatching those purple laps away from the 2 McLarens, and he is not going anywhere. Hey Ashley, good to see you. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Red Bull should have pitted. They must have regretted it. No, well obviously they're going long, aren't they? They're going for an alternate strategy. I don't think they believe they've got the pace here today to cope with obviously the 2 McLarens. You can see they're already catching up to the back of Perez and Verstappen. You can see Perez and Verstappen last time around a 25.5 and a 26.1. That is about 1.5 seconds quicker last time out for the 2 McLarens, and Leclerc on the 2 Red Bulls are on 20-lap old hards. So yeah, we'll see if they decide to pit. They might just wait for the McLarens to catch them and then go onto another set, onto the set of mediums. Maybe they're just trying to make the one-stop work, and they're going to go long, and they're just going to try and hold up this pack as best as they can, and then go onto the medium compound tyre, and then it's then for the others to overtake them or make their one-stop work on the hard compound tyre to the end. It's a big push. It's a big ask for McLaren and Charles Leclerc and Hamilton to make it to the end of this race on this current set of hards, and maybe that's what Red Bull are predicting. What's the chance of a safety car at Monza? It's been a 50% chance throughout the last 7 years, so we'll see. We'll see. Of course, at Monza, there's always a potential of a safety car with the chicanes here. We've already seen plenty of contact and incidents be investigated. All it takes is for one of those to spin a car around and in the wrong place, and yes, we could end up with a safety car. So we will see. But Lewis Hamilton unable to gain on Carlos Sainz there, and he's already lost the DRS on the Ferrari, so difficult for Lewis Hamilton to get past the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. Of course, the Ferrari always very strong at Monza. Upgrades here for them this weekend. Very, very skinny rear wing, so quick in a straight line. Piastri, 1.6 seconds to Norris now, as Norris took another 2 tenths out of his teammate last time around with a 23.7. Leclerc still in the DRS just off Lando. He did slightly lose it there, but with the DRS down the back straight there from turn 7 to 8 down to the Ascari chicane, he's been able to regain it, but then he's lost it again there. You can see through the Ascari chicane, the dirty air starting to affect Charles Leclerc and stay with that McLaren, and will he be able to get it back as they head through turn 11 as Verstappen comes into the pits. Perez stays out, so Max Verstappen into the pit lane. 21 laps, or 22 laps really completed on that set of hard compound tyres, as Charles Leclerc is now lost the DRS on Lando Norris, it seems, as Lando takes another chunk of time out of his teammate Piastri. The gap down to 1.5 seconds now. He is chipping away at his teammate, and Sergio Perez is ahead of Oscar Piastri, no doubt throwing off some dirty air in the front of that McLaren of Norris's teammate. We'll see if Perez is able to, he's going to come in and pit and respond after Max Verstappen as he slots in front of George Russell there and is on to a set of hard compound tyres. So the Red Bull committing to the two-stop here, guys. They have to use another set of compound of tyres, so that will be the medium, and Max Verstappen committing to the two-stop strategy here. Which I'll be very interested to see if the top guys, I still think they're going to go onto another set of hard compound tyres. That is what that medium allows them to do, starting on that. And of course, Verstappen and Perez will be on the alternate strategy as Piastri there catching Sergio Perez, as you can see. And well, is Perez in the last corner here going to get in the way of Oscar Piastri? 1.5 seconds it is the interval between Norris and Piastri. Let's see if Norris is able to close the gap up here as they head through turn 11. No doubt this is not ideal for Piastri. Will Perez dive into the pits or will he stay out? He does. Perez comes into the pits. He is pitting just one lap after his teammate, as that now releases Piastri and Norris. As Norris is asked, you are allowed to race Oscar, papaya rules. Papaya rules? That's new. That's new. But Lando Norris there, 1.5 seconds back. Another fastest lap for Lando. Leclerc losing the DRS of Lando Norris, and he's just losing a couple of tenths per lap. 3 tenths slower last time out as Perez comes out behind his teammate and ahead of George Russell. So good pit stops there for the two Red Bulls as they're able to stay out ahead of George Russell. But George Russell, of course, most likely yet to make another pit stop as he pitted very early for a damaged front wing. We'll see if he is going to be able to maintain that position. Sergio Perez with an attacking George Russell as Verstappen gets ahead of Esteban Ocon down into turn 4 and is up into 6th place, which he was at before the first round of pit stops. Race is shaping up. Race is shaping up, guys. One stop not possible. I don't think so, no. If you get timed out money, it'll be because of spamming, most likely. If you're timed out, you will, of course, be allowed to be back in after a certain period of time. So that would be most likely the reason why we have mods on this channel who monitor the chat and try and keep it, of course, clean for everyone to see. As Verstappen just asked, we get on with it now. So, hey, from South Korea. I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce your name there and read that, but welcome, buddy. Great to see we've got an international stream here, guys. As we said earlier on, people of all different ages from all parts of the world loving F1, and I'm glad that I can bring this to you, and I'm glad that you are enjoying these streams. So if you could hit that subscribe button, it'd be much appreciated. Can we get to 30,000 subs? Is there 600 of you in here who are yet to hit that subscribe button? Surely there are. Surely there is. It really put a smile on my face, guys, and it's just a token of appreciation that you have been enjoying these streams and enjoying the commentary that I'm providing. But let's have an update, shall we? Let's have an update of this race. I'm just going to say lastly, if I cannot get, obviously the chat goes very quickly. If I do miss your message, please do not take it personally. It's just a case of course, I'm trying to bring this information to you. And if you want to have a bit more of a personal chat about the race and F1 and ask me some questions, you can do afterwards. But yes, Piastri in P1 as it currently stands, as Russell gets past Esteban Ocon there and is up into P8. So the top 8 as they were, apart from Charles Leclerc swapping positions with Lando Norris with that undercut after the first round of pit stops. But it is Piastri in P1, 26 laps finished in this race. Nearly halfway through this race, guys, as Piastri got the lead from Lando Norris at turn 4, which they're approaching now on the first lap. Norris in P2, 1.8 seconds back now from his teammate. That gain he was making on his teammate has just slightly to disappear. Is that because of a tyre strategy for Lando Norris just to get back in a nice window to manage them? Or is it because he's genuinely struggling with the car? He's dropped back to 2 seconds now, 2.1 seconds now. So lost quite a few bits of time there through turn 6 and turn 7. Or is that just Piastri pushing a little bit too hard? You can see 3 tenths quicker Oscar Piastri in that second sector to Lando Norris there. A purple from Oscar Piastri. But what that will do, of course, that he's leaning on the tyres more and he'll take more life out of his tyres than potentially that of Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc in P3 is 1.6 seconds back from Lando Norris. He is 11 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz. Unbelievable that Leclerc is that far ahead at the moment. But Carlos Sainz did stay out for 4 laps longer than his teammate. So there will be a convergence later on in this race with strategy for sure. Lewis Hamilton in P5. He is a bit struggling here with race pace, it seems. The Mercedes, it's not been overall a good race for them thus far. As another fastest lap from Oscar Piastri there. He's starting to push and try and build a gap on his teammate. Max Verstappen in P6, upper position on George Russell, who is the biggest loser out of the top 8. He had to take to the escape road on the first lap through the first corner and subsequently picked up front wing damage and had to pit for a new front wing and first out of anyone. That's why he's down in 8th with Perez a position ahead of him into P7 as Alonso gets ahead of Esteban Ocon, fighting for that last points position there. And they're side by side, the former teammates, and it seems that Fernando Alonso has been able to maintain that position on much fresher tyres. 11 lap fresher tyres on the Alpine, but will Esteban Ocon have an opportunity to come back between them? There's no love lost between the two former teammates. There isn't really no love lost between any of Esteban Ocon's former teammates, is there? But Esteban Ocon is on 26 lap old hards. Bottas also on 27 lap old hards, and no doubt probably the only drivers who are going to attempt a one-stop strategy here today. Alex Albon in P11. He has much fresher tyres. There's Gasly has lost a position there to Daniel Ricciardo, who still has to take that another penalty. As I've missed it, Magnussen's got a 10-second time penalty. Water's wet. Water is wet, and Kevin Magnussen gets a time penalty. And will that, causing a collision as well, will that be a race ban for Kevin Magnussen now? Because he's only one more. I believe he was only one more penalty away from, or penalty points from getting a race ban, and that could potentially be a race ban for Kevin Magnussen, causing a collision. We will see after the race and get that if it's confirmed. But yeah, wow, that is. We could see Ollie Behrman in the next race at Baku in the Haas car, as he is the reserve driver. So, yeah, let's see if that is indeed a penalty points for Magnussen. But yeah, we can see that as we were running further down the grid, so Esteban Ocon still yet to pit. Alex Albon fighting for that last points position. He is, of course, ahead of Magnussen, who has that 10-second time penalty. Bottas also doing that one stop and is no doubt going to be overtaken by Ricciardo, who also has an additional 10-second time penalty for failing to serve his first time penalty incorrectly. Gasly in P15. Colapinto up 2 positions. He's holding off Lance Stroll very well at the moment, which is good for him. So it's, we'll see if he can maybe try and take Gasly and Ricciardo and Bottas. But uneventful race for Colapinto at the moment, which is what he really needs. Of course, stay out of trouble and just do your own thing and get your experience, as Lando Norris trades fastest laps there with Oscar Piastri with a 23.0. Very similar pace going on with the top 3 drivers at the moment in a bit of a league of their own. We'll see, of course, if I doubt they're going to be able to make it to the end of the race on this set of tyres. I have been proven wrong in that regard before, but I do think they're going to have to make another pit stop. We will see. And then, of course, Hulkenberg still running. He also has a 10-second time penalty down in 18th place. Maybe he served it already. And Zhou Guanyu just... Oh... No, nothing really to say about Zhou Guanyu, and Yuki Tsunoda, of course, had to retire as Daniel Ricciardo gets past Valtteri Bottas down into turn 1, the first chicane. And Valtteri Bottas, an easy move for Daniel Ricciardo there, as Bottas is on 29 lap old hards, guys. Who's going to win this race? Who's going to win this race? Do we think Piastri is going to be able to hold on to P1? Will there be team orders? Supposedly, McLaren have said papaya rules. They are allowed to race, but papaya rules apply as Piastri takes the fastest lap from Lando Norris, and that was 3 tenths faster. And at the moment, Lando cannot gain on Oscar Piastri. And I mean, you do have to say Piastri is there on merit. He is there on merit, but when the Drivers' Championship is at stake, it is a very silly decision to allow the 2 drivers to race in the first place and ensure that they are in this position. I think it's ridiculous, really. Piastri, while I do believe he is a great driver and a potential future world champion, you have to look at the now, and Lando Norris is in prime position to take advantage of Max Verstappen currently being in P6, and that's 7 points again, be 14 points in total potentially, but they are throwing away here McLaren for Lando Norris in this Drivers' World Championship. And imagine if the gap is under 14 points by the end of the season. Imagine. But of course, we still have 24 laps remaining in this race. A lot can still happen, guys. A lot can still happen. But Piastri most definitely pushing right now. Lando struggling in the middle sector. He's just lost 6 tenths on Piastri in the middle sector. Lando struggling through either the first and second Lesmo, or he is just trying to manage his tyres a bit better than Piastri. We will see. Is that an indication? But look at that. Another fastest lap from Oscar Piastri. Is Piastri pushing too much? Is this strategic here from Lando Norris with another pit stop, or trying to make these tyres last to the end of the race? We will see. But that was a very slow second sector from Lando Norris there in the middle. Yet to see a replay of exactly why that is, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they let Lando go through. He gets a tap to Leclerc. We'll see. This will be an undercut for Lando to P1. You think? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think they'll try that. I feel, Lando's made a mistake through the second chicane. Charles Leclerc's all over him. Has Charles Leclerc been able to get past Lando through turn 6? And Lando is struggling through the second sector. He nearly just lost a position. But Charles Leclerc will have DRS. He's all over the back of Lando. Through, down into turn 8, the Ascari chicane. Will he be able to make a send down on the McLaren? But Lando really hit the chicane there and had an issue. Did he actually run wide? And Lando is struggling through that second sector. I don't think it's Piastri pushing too hard. It is Lando struggling at the moment. He has complained about the balance of the car. And wow, what has happened there? And Charles Leclerc's radio indicates that Norris is starting to struggle. And that right there is a clear indication. And Leclerc drops back to 8 tenths. He isn't able to keep the pressure on Lando down into turn 1. But Lando, 2 laps in a row now, has struggled through the second sector. And well, we will see. Sergio Perez, yes, did make an overtake on Sergio Perez. George Russell had to bail out. He gave the position back to Perez. But I'll be sure to see if there was actually... we will see if that's the case. But Lando Norris did get track limits at turn 4. So Lando Norris did have to take avoiding action through turn 4, and that's why Charles Leclerc was able to get to the back of him. But Lando is struggling in this middle sector. He is struggling. As Sergio Perez once again has to go defensive to George Russell there into turn 1 and 2. George Russell on the back of him. We'll see if Perez is able to maintain this position down into turn 4. I'm yet to see a replay of the Norris off into the turn 4 chicane. But look at Leclerc all over the back of Lando Norris. A fastest first sector for him. Now he's in the DRS. A 23.9, a full second quicker last lap around. Of course, with Lando Norris is off track through the turn 4 chicane. As Nico Hülkenberg gets past Ocon as he now makes his one and only pit stop of this race on the one-stop strategy with 22 laps remaining. Hang on, just listening. As they are saying that the reason Piastri is pushing, he doesn't want to be undercut by Norris. Says as Charles Leclerc is past Lando, as Lando has to commit to the two-stop strategy here, struggling on the tyres as Lando's in the pit lane. I'm watching the replay of him go off at turn 4. He brakes and he just had no front end turning, had to take to the escape road. Committed early to that as he knew he couldn't turn in, and that is why Lando was able to make... that's why Lando lost so much time. But he's now behind Max Verstappen in this race. This is unbelievable. Lando Norris with a second pit stop. You would think he'll dispatch Max Verstappen pretty quickly, but who would have thought that Lando would now be back behind Max Verstappen in this championship? Wow, this is crazy. Now, where will they pit Oscar Piastri? Now, Oscar Piastri has got, you think, Lando Norris covered with that undercut. He was 5 seconds back from Oscar Piastri when he pitted. And we'll see if they do respond with Piastri coming into the pits right now. I don't think these teams are going to be able to take this hard compound tyre to the end. Lewis Hamilton, we'll see if he pits. We'll see if Leclerc pits as well. Let's keep an eye on Oscar Piastri. As Oscar Piastri still extends, he goes on. And Lando Norris quite evidently struggling on that middle stint there on the set of hard compound tyres. And he will now have to see this race out to the end. Started on pole position, lost a position to his teammate into turn 4, then to Charles Leclerc, then got back into P2 with an undercut, and then was back under pressure to Charles Leclerc as he was just struggling with the tyres. But no doubt Lando Norris will be able to catch Max Verstappen on 11-lap fresher hard compound tyres. So Russell into the pits as well, committing to his 2-stop. So we're starting to get into that pit window of the 2-stop. Carlos Sainz could be in a very good position here, by the way, guys, to capitalise as he extended his first stint by 4 laps. We'll see if that extra 4 laps that he had will be able to capitalise on that, and will that advantage come back to him in this race in the latter stages? We will see. Why would McLaren want Lando to be fighting Charles? Insane. As Lando says, I don't know why I'm killing my front left so much. So that's where he's really struggling. Of course, the front left tyre is the tyre that does take a pounding round here through turn 11, through turn 6 and 7 with those right-hand corners. And, of course, turn 3. This being a clockwise circuit means that the front left tyre is the one that takes the battering round here, as Lando sets a fastest first sector 4 tenths quicker with that extra grip on Max Verstappen. 2.2 seconds back now on Verstappen, and no doubt he will catch him pretty quickly. Max still yet to make another pit stop as well. He has to go onto the medium compound tyre, but Lando, he will gain on Max Verstappen today, but it's not looking like it's going to be that 18-point swing that we potentially predicted, especially with McLaren not allowing their teammate, allowing the 2 drivers to fight at this stage of the season. Leclerc gaining Gasly toe. He is indeed. So anyone else about to pit as Piastri stays out for longer? Sainz and Hamilton do. Charles Leclerc also staying out as well. Piastri and Leclerc did equal lap times last time out. Sainz actually 2 tenths quicker than the Piastri and Charles Leclerc. Of course, he is on 4-lap fresher tyres. But yes, we'll see if when Sainz is going to pit. Keep an eye out on Sainz. Sainz isn't totally out of this race. He could, well, he's still in the podium position as it stands, but is he going to go to the end, or is he going to make another pit stop? We will see. Piastri's tyres are falling off. Yeah, he will have to make another pit stop, as will Charles Leclerc, I believe, and Lewis Hamilton. It's definitely a 2-stop race today. There's too much graining on the front left, but it's made it interesting for us. Made it interesting. He's not getting a 4 undercut. No, he's not. He's not getting a 4-second undercut. Can Piastri and Leclerc? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they're all going to have to pit again, but I think Carlos Sainz, he's got 4-lap fresher tyres, and at the end, how much of a difference will that make? I don't know. Will he have enough of a delta to overtake the drivers ahead of him? We'll see. Or is he going to go to the end? Is he just managing his race? Is he just managing his tyres? I'm not sure, but he's 3 tenths faster last time around as Perez is in the pits. Perez into the pits, and he is now making his 2nd pit stop of this race onto the medium compound tyre. And let's see where he comes out. He is going to come out, no doubt, ahead of George Russell, as Alonso comes into the pits as well from P8. Anyone else pitting at the moment? No. So, right, let's have a rundown of the grid as it stands. So, we have, at the moment, Oscar Piastri in P1, 5.7 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc. Sainz in P3, 11 seconds back from his teammate, but he did extend that first stint, which is why he is that far back. We have Lewis Hamilton in P4, 1.7 seconds further back. Max Verstappen now up 2 positions into P5 after that pit stop from... where is it? Who is he gained positions on? He's gained positions on his teammate and George Russell. Oh, of course, Lando Norris has made a 2nd pit stop. Apologies, that's where he has made an additional position gain. Kevin Magnussen, who has a 10-second time penalty and a potential race ban if that penalty does warrant penalty points, is in P7, up 6 places. But he might... Is he going to go to the end of the race, or is he going to make another stop? We will see. Magnussen does love a very long 1 stop, doesn't he? And that's been kind of his MO for the most most of the majority of this season. Alex Albon in P8. Sergio Perez just made his second pit stop, is in P9 on a fresh set of medium compound tyres. George Russell in 10th place, down 7 positions as it currently stands. Daniel Ricciardo in 11th. Colapinto up 6 places in 12th. Is he going to take this set of hard compound tyres to the end of the race? That'd be a massive achievement for him, as he is coming under attack from Lance Stroll. Fernando Alonso, who has just made his second pit stop as well. As you can see, Alex Albon is getting overtaken, no doubt, by Perez and potentially George Russell down into turn 1. But we do know that the Williams has very quick straight line speed, as Sergio Perez is side by side with Alex Albon through turn 2. And I think Alex Albon, has he had to take avoiding action there? He has indeed, as he's lost 2 positions to Perez and George Russell there in one corner. So the Williams driver, it's not really his race. He is in the last points positions at the moment, but he just lost. As Verstappen says, when it's possible to defend, do you want me to race him? And they said, yes, please. So Max Verstappen will try and hold up Lando Norris as best as he can. As best as he can. As Hamilton into the pits. Hamilton into the pits for his second pit stop. We'll see if Piastri or Leclerc are going to pit soon as well, or are they going to extend to this one-stop race? We will see. A 23.6 last time around from Piastri, a 23.5 from Leclerc. 3 tenths quicker Sainz was last time around. That gap now under 11 seconds for Carlos Sainz on his teammates. I'd be very surprised if they can take it to the end of this race with the graining that we're seeing on these tyres. But who knows? Who knows, guys? Matt we need to box again. We'll see. We'll see. His MO is that he likes to go 50-odd laps on a set of tyres, isn't it? So, my V-carb delusions are getting to you. Can Norris still win? If they make another pit stop, maybe. I don't think so now, though. No, I think Piastri's got this in the bag. I think he's been very in control of this race from the get-go. So, hang on. As Piastri is being asked, can we one-stop? As Piastri is asked, he responds, I don't think so. The front left is pretty dead. So they're going to pit. And right on cue, as I read that, Oscar Piastri is into the pit lane, guys. There we go. So 2 stops for the teams. They cannot make the front left last long enough. And Oscar Piastri is into the pits, which means Charles Leclerc is in the lead of this race. It is currently a Ferrari 1-2. Imagine there's a safety car right now. Imagine there's a safety car right now or a VSC. The Ferraris will be laughing. With an 8-second cheaper pit stop, Charles Leclerc would be laughing. That will throw a real spanner in the works with 15 laps remaining, guys. 15 laps remaining as Russell was able to get past Sergio Perez last time around, guys. Apologies I missed that. But yes, Lance Stroll fastest first sector from him as he's on a brand new set of mediums. As Norris not able to get past Max Verstappen just yet. As you can see, the gap there. Him not being able to get past his teammate, past Max Verstappen, has meant that Lando has not been able to close the gap on Piastri. Of course, he does have 6-lap older tyres, and you do think that now is pretty much race in control for Oscar Piastri, barring a safety car right this moment. Any news on weather? Seems to be okay. Track temperature is falling though. It was 52 degrees earlier. It is now at just under 45. As the race has gone on, it has got cooler out there. Can Ferrari do the one-stop? Maybe Sainz is the only driver who will be able to do potentially a one-stop. Charles Leclerc will have to pit again, I think. I don't believe he'll be able to make that tyre last to the end. But I could be wrong. But if Piastri was complaining about graining, the McLarens have struggled. I imagine the Ferraris are also kind of starting to see that on their tyres also. What can Ferrari do to mess this up? Ferrari need, I think, a safety car. I mean, Leclerc could do the one-stop. I think he'll try to. I think if he comes in and pits now, he's giving up the lead, isn't he? He's giving up the win. Can he make that hard compound tyre last to the end of this race? I think Piastri is going to have to get this done out on track. If Leclerc pits now, they're basically giving away a 1-2, aren't they? So I think Ferrari have to try and make a one-stop work. So yeah. Can Lewis get in front of Carlos? Where is he? No, not if Sainz decides to pit, which I don't think he will. I think Sainz will try and make this to the end. But let's see. We've got 14 laps remaining, and Norris is trying to overtake, of course, Max Verstappen. Piastri is going to have to catch Sainz and no doubt catch Leclerc as well. I can't see Leclerc coming in and pitting. He is going to stay out there. He has got a current 17.5 second lead over Piastri at the moment. So we'll see. But Norris is all over the back of Max Verstappen here as they head through Parabolica. He's 3 tenths behind the Red Bull. And you would think with DRS assistance, with that extra grip that Lando Norris has, he is no doubt going to overtake Max Verstappen, his championship rival, the driver he is trying to chase down and close that gap on. And he does do it as he heads down into turn 1. But Max Verstappen, we know he'll try and defend. He'll get his elbows out as much as he can. But I think Lando, with that extra grip, with that pace in McLaren, Max just doesn't have an answer at this current stage of the race. But Max with the toe, he's not going to lose it entirely as they head through down into turn 4. We've seen Lando Norris go wide at turn 4 already today. Earlier on, he lost his lead to Oscar Piastri at this very corner. It's not been a good corner for him, but he navigates it safely, and Verstappen is now facing the rear wing of Lando Norris, already 7 tenths behind, 9 tenths behind. And well, Lando Norris, we knew this was damage limitation for Max Verstappen today. Will Lando Norris be able to gain any more positions and close up that gap further on Max Verstappen? But only 1 position ahead of Max is not enough for him to win the Drivers' Championship. He needs more than this as it currently stands. And Max Verstappen would happily walk away from this weekend if the positions were to stay as they currently are. Norris in P4, Piastri in P3, 15 seconds to Charles Leclerc now with 12 laps remaining. He has to close in over a second a lap on Charles Leclerc before the end of this race to catch him and overtake him. And have McLaren potentially ruin their strategy today? Have they mixed this up? Should they have gone for a one-stop? We will see. Ferrari could still win this race if these tyres fall off a cliff. We will see. Oscar Piastri needs the advantage that he's just had, and Verstappen now pits. Hamilton, another car in between Norris and Verstappen as it currently stands. Verstappen tried to hold Norris up as best as he could, and he now pits to that second stop strategy, and he will be in P6 to the end of this race, with Hamilton already making a pit stop, with the 2 McLarens and the 2 Ferraris now committing to a one-stop here. And well, has the Leclerc Ferrari pulled off a blinder here? Can they make these tyres last to the end? 12 laps is interesting. At last time around, Oscar Piastri was 1.6 seconds quicker than Charles Leclerc. Keep an eye on that interval time, guys. Of course, catching is one thing, overtaking is another. Piastri doesn't just have to overtake Leclerc. He has Sainz in between him and Leclerc as it currently stands as well. Imagine the Ferraris get a 1-2 today. Imagine. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'd have so much to say. What's the pit stop time? I don't know what the actual pit stop time was of Verstappen. It was something about 2.3 seconds. I just saw pop up on Sky TV, so not slow at all. But pit stop is 23-second pit loss. An overall pit stop loss time is 23 seconds. Let's go, Oscar. Forza Ferrari, yep. 14-second gap, 22.3. As Norris is being told, just drive fast. It's qualifying every lap now. Ferrari are trying it. It was a 1.4 second gap there between gain by Piastri on Leclerc last time around. A 1.5 second gain on Carlos Sainz. And it is qualifying laps from both McLarens as it currently stands. The lead McLaren driver is Oscar Piastri. They're going to have to get this done out on circuit. It's going to be close. We have only 11 laps remaining. And can the McLarens make this two-stop strategy work? Or have they balls this up and Ferrari have pulled an absolute blinder in front of the Tifosi? We will see as Max Verstappen sets fastest lap of the race fastest first sector of anyone, but he is not going to finish ahead of Lewis Hamilton, being 12 or nearly 13 seconds behind. But he may steal an extra point off of Lando Norris today with a fastest first lap. That would be, once again, more damage limitation for the Red Bull driver. Colapinto in 13th as it currently stands. Yes, if Colapinto can make this strategy work and do a one-stop to the end, I mean, he might as well try. Otherwise, he's given up positions to Esteban Ocon. What a race this would be for Colapinto, finishing in 13th in his first race. Of course, a one-stop would be great. That would be great. Why can't Verstappen fly anymore? What happened to the RB20? That is the million-dollar question. What has happened to that Red Bull? What has happened to that Red Bull? 10 laps and 14 seconds to make up for Piastri. Not quite. It's 11 seconds. It's 11.9 seconds. 11.9 seconds. So, Piastri is in the DRS of Carlos Sainz now. We have 10 laps remaining. He really needs to try and dispatch Carlos Sainz as quick as he can. But what Carlos Sainz does have is the toe of the lapped Pierre Gasly in front of him. He won't want Gasly to get out of the way through Parabolica. He'll want him to give the toe as best as he can down the main straight here. But Oscar Piastri, with that extra grip, he has 19 lap fresher tyres. And with the DRS, will Oscar Piastri go for a move on Carlos Sainz down into turn 1? We will see. I don't think he's going to be able to get the move done just yet. The toe from Pierre Gasly has saved Carlos Sainz for this time around through turn 2. But it's not over yet. We've seen Oscar Piastri make an audacious move on his teammate in the first lap into turn 4. And with that extra grip, will he be able to do the same on the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz? No doubt Sainz is going to go defensive down into turn 4. Piastri needs to be smart about this. The race win is on offer. There's 9 laps remaining. And Sainz is doing God's work for Charles Leclerc and the Tifosi as we currently speak, holding up Oscar Piastri for those precious seconds for half a lap. This could be the win right here, right now for Charles Leclerc. The birthday boy Carlos Sainz turning 30 today, and Oscar Piastri cannot get past Sainz. The Pierre Gasly, and he's towing. He's got a DRS on Carlos Sainz. Is he going to go for a move down into this Ascari chicane? He's got ahead of the Ferrari, and what a move from Oscar Piastri. He needed to get that done, and for more than half a lap, Carlos Sainz, a valiant effort on 19 lap older hard compound tyres, held up Oscar Piastri, and that could be absolutely essential here today with only 8 laps remaining. Charles Leclerc, there's an 11.7 second gap between Piastri and Leclerc. We know catching is one thing, overtaking is another. Does Piastri have enough in those hard compound tyres to get to the end of this race and catch Charles Leclerc? Or has Ferrari and Charles Leclerc pulled off a blinder? Lando Norris still in P4. He needs to maximise these points now. He's not going to win this race, that is for sure. He's not going to get P2. So he needs to overtake Carlos Sainz to get on the podium position and at least put 3 cars between him and Max Verstappen and try and maximise these points. But a good overtake from Oscar Piastri there on Carlos Sainz. 11.4 seconds the gap is to Piastri and Charles Leclerc. But look at that last time around. Only a 10th gained, less than a 10th gained on Charles Leclerc last time out for Piastri due to Carlos Sainz defensive driving against Oscar Piastri. What a wonderful spoiler this race is. Leclerc has this barring mishap. All expected a McLaren walkover. Well, McLaren have done this to themselves, personally, as it currently stands, because they're the ones who allowed their teammates to drive. Yes, Piastri did it on merit and got round Lando Norris, but you have a driver who is fighting for the World Championship, and he's about to lose unnecessary ground on Max Verstappen as it currently stands. But Norris is in P4. He is 6 tenths behind Sainz. Sainz doesn't have the DRS of Piastri. He doesn't have as much grip as Lando Norris. He has the DRS open. Does the McLaren with the DRS have enough to get past Sainz down into turn 1? We will see. Or will Sainz be able to hold Lando Norris off for just a bit longer, just like he did Oscar Piastri? And he did. And no doubt we'll see, with that extra grip, Lando Norris get ahead of Sainz. But Sainz, still, valiant effort, will probably finish P4 ahead of Lewis Hamilton, unless his tyres really do fall off a cliff. Last time out, only 1 second gained by Oscar Piastri on Charles Leclerc. Not enough. That's not enough. He needs at least over 1.5 second gain per lap to overtake Charles Leclerc. McLaren really have balls this up. Again, they're the new Ferrari, guys. They're the new Ferrari. Lando Norris, he has the drive, he has the DRS on Sainz. Will he make the same move that his teammate did the previous lap? No, he cannot get past. He needs to be sensible. P3 is really bang to rights for Norris now. He just needs to be patient and not do anything silly. Colapinto in P13. He currently has a 12-second gap to Esteban Ocon. So Colapinto going very nicely at the moment and could be on for a P13 position. Very good from him as it currently stands for Colapinto. Lapping just a bit quicker actually than Daniel Ricciardo, who has 6-lap fresher tyres, and Ricciardo still has that penalty as well. So if Colapinto stays within that 10-second time penalty of Daniel Ricciardo, he will finish in P12 today, Colapinto, and what a result that will be from him. A big improvement on Logan Sargent in his first race as Norris gets past Carlos Sainz down into turn 1. Easy peasy, and he's up into P3. He's down 2 positions today, but the race is on for the win. There's 6 laps remaining after this one. 9.1 seconds between Piastri and Leclerc now, and I just cannot see where Piastri is going to gain enough time. It was 1.4 seconds last time around, but I do think he is just going to catch Leclerc too late. He would need probably an extra lap, and Carlos Sainz's valiant defence against Piastri could have done and secured the win for Charles Leclerc at Ferrari, in front of the Tifosi, Monza, Monaco, the 2 races that Ferrari want to win every single year. And imagine taking points off of McLaren in this championship battle. Well, Norris on Verstappen especially. Not sure with the new livery from the Ferrari, personally would have gone for a yellow livery. Yeah, the new livery is not really new, is it? It's not really new. But guys, if you are liking this stream, please hit the like button. Please hit the thumbs up. It's much appreciated. And you see that number at the bottom of your screen. We're trying to hit 30,000 subs. If you please can, it would be much appreciated. We are currently nearly 29,500. Surely there are 500 of you in here who haven't hit that subscribe button. It would be, trust me, much appreciated. Just a token of your appreciation. As last time out, it was it was only 0.7 of a second. Oscar Piastri on Charles Leclerc. Let's see how they get on this time around as Piastri is catching traffic. He's catching traffic, and I think this is it. Charles Leclerc Piastri's not gaining enough. Piastri isn't gaining enough. Ferrari, for once, have pulled off a blinder of a strategy, guys. Well, they're letting Oscar and Lando past. They only need a couple of corners to do that. They get 3 corners, I believe it is, of blue flags. Then they have to let them pass. You think Lando and Oscar will swap? Oh, I don't think so. Not the way that this race has gone on. I'll be very surprised if they do. We will see. We will see. Keep an eye out on radio. Just says, can people in the background please be awake? I know this is a shit position, but it is important. So yeah, Lewis Hamilton is in a no man's land at the moment in P5, 9.7 seconds back from Carlos Sainz. Can't see him catching Carlos Sainz as it currently stands with only 4 laps remaining. Last time around, Piastri with that traffic only 6 tenths back from 6 tenths gain on Charles Leclerc, and it's not enough. Definitely not enough. And Ocon, is he going to let Piastri buy down into turn 4? He isn't. So that's going to be more time loss for Piastri. And barring a mistake from Charles Leclerc, this is an unbelievable drive from the Ferrari. He complained about why did we come in when we did? Why was I allowed to be undercut? But there is a method in the madness, as Charles Leclerc is going to make this strategy work. Piastri said he couldn't make his front left tyre work, and he's unfortunately, due to that, going to lose this race after leading it for so long. And Norris, of course, giving away or being allowed to fight his teammate, McLaren allowing the teammates to fight, is not going to gain as many positions and points on Max Verstappen as we expected. So, Colapinto, update on him is currently 4.2 seconds back from Daniel Ricciardo. He is gaining on Daniel Ricciardo each lap. Only needs to stay within that 10 seconds to get that position on Daniel Ricciardo, who has a 10-second time penalty to be attributed to him at the end of this race. Lando Norris, is he gaining on his teammate? 3.8 seconds back. 6.9 seconds is the gap to Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc now. As you have said in chat, will we see a swap of positions for the McLaren drivers in Piastri and Norris? We will see. see. They have a substantial gap to Carlos Sainz behind now of 5 seconds, so they would be able to do that safely at the end of this race. George Russell is catching Max Verstappen half a second last time around, but with only 3 laps remaining, he might fall just a bit short. But Lando Norris will be hoping George Russell could catch Max Verstappen at the end of this race. Another 4 attempts taken out of Max Verstappen, this time around by George on Verstappen. So let's see if George can gain a position on Max Verstappen. Who knows? Maybe cause some shenanigans at the latter stages of this race. Sergio Perez in P8. Magnussen is up 4 positions in 9th place, but he also has a 10-second time penalty to be attributed to him. So Alex Albon just needs to stay within that 10-second range, and he will finish ahead of Kevin Magnussen, as well Fernando Alonso also. So yes, 2 of those drivers in the top 12 there fighting for the last points positions have 10-second time penalties to be issued toward them at the end. We can see, of course, Yuki Tsunoda today was the only retirement, or is the only retirement, down in 20th position, guys, due to that incident with Nico Hulkenberg, which is why he is down 8 positions in 18th place. But as it currently stands, we have 2 laps remaining. We're on the penultimate race lap. Well, we're on the penultimate lap of this race, guys, as Charles Leclerc currently leads Oscar Piastri 5.4 seconds to the McLaren driver. He has done the unthinkable, a one-stop, the only driver other than his teammate to do a one-stop in this top 8, and they are making it work. In front of the Tifosi at their home circuit, Charles Leclerc, only 1 race he has won this season, which has been at Monaco, and Ferrari are on the verge of winning the 2 most coveted races for the team, Monaco and Monza. This is unbelievable strategy from Ferrari. McLaren have ballsed it up. They allowed their championship leading driver chasing down Max Verstappen with the potential of taking a fair old chunk of points away from the Red Bull driver, and they've allowed them to fight at the start, lose a position to Charles Leclerc, which has allowed Leclerc to stay on the coattails of the 2 McLaren drivers. And now, with 1 final lap remaining, Charles Leclerc just needs to navigate his way around 11 corners to win the 2024 Monza Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. He has just 2 lap cars in front of him, Colapinto and Ricciardo. Piastri gaining considerably now in this latter stages, but he's going to run out of laps. Lando Norris 3.9 seconds back. The top 3 are as they are, no doubt. Will we see a swap of positions for the 2 drivers? Fastest lap belongs to Max Verstappen, so he has secured another bonus point for him. Charles Leclerc, only 6 corners remaining now for Charles Leclerc. He's navigated the first Lesmo. He's going to navigate his way through the second Lesmo. We've seen drivers go off here through the course of the weekend. You can see the interval time coming down for Oscar Piastri with that additional grip he has. 37 laps Charles Leclerc has done on his set of hard compound tyres. It will be 38 by the end of this race. 1 more chicane, the Ascari. 8, 9, 10, right, left, right, left. He's got 1 more corner, Parabolica. It is 3 seconds to Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc. He has Colapinto, the dirty air, to deal with as he goes through turn 11 for 1 last time, Parabolica. And Charles Leclerc has won the Italian Grand Prix. Unfucking believable. How have Ferrari done that? No swap of positions for the McLaren team, as Oscar Piastri is in P2, Norris is in P3 with the fastest lap at the end of the race there for Norris. He regains an extra bonus point for him, increasing the maximising the points that he's got. But of course, it's not the position that he wanted. But Charles Leclerc pulling off a one-stop. An unbelievable strategy for Charles Leclerc. Is the winner of the Italian Grand Prix. He has Monaco, he has Monza, and the Tifosi are going mad. Absolutely mad. What a drive from Charles Leclerc. Unbelievable. He questioned the strategy when he was brought into the pit lane. He asked, why were we allowed to be undercut? There was method behind the madness, Charles. Method behind the madness. Because he's just pulled off a 38-lap second stint on the hard compound tyre. And he wins ahead of McLaren, who have fumbled, absolutely fumbled a 1-2 here today. They've fumbled the Drivers' World Championship. They've fumbled the advantage they could have in the Constructors' Championship. And it's just deserves for allowing your teams your drivers to fight and to do that sort of strategy. Wow, unbelievable. Colapinto is promoted into P12 due to the 10-second time penalty attributed to Ricciardo there at the end. 6 positions gained for Colapinto today. A great drive from him on his debut. Much better than what we've seen from Logan Sargent in the past. Of course, Monza, not the hardest of tracks. Of course, we'll see how he gets on for the remainder of this season. Kevin Magnussen looks like he has maintained a 10th. Even with that 10-second time penalty, Kevin Magnussen has sneaked in with a last points position there. Unbelievable, but he could get a race ban because of that 10-second time penalty of causing a collision. He could be banned for the race in Baku next time out, and we could see Ollie Behrman stepping in there. But the big story here is that Charles Leclerc has won this race, guys. Unbelievable. Who would have thought it? Oscar Piastri in P2, Lando Norris in P3. 7 races now that he has started from pole position and failed to lead at the end of the opening lap. Carlos Sainz in P4, Lewis Hamilton P5, Max Verstappen in P6, George Russell in P7, Sergio Perez in P8, Albon in P9, Magnussen in 10th, Alonso in 11th, Colapinto in 12th, Ricciardo 13th, Ocon 14th, Gasly 15th, Bottas 16th, Hulkenberg 17th, Zhou 18th, and Stroll 19th, with Tsunoda in P20. Guys, please hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get this stream to over 1,000 likes. Come on, I'm sure you guys have enjoyed this stream, and hit that subscribe button to get us closer to 30,000 subscribers. It would be much appreciated. It would be very much appreciated. McLaren Mojo doesn't work on both sides of the Atlantic simultaneously. Yeah, unbelievable, eh? Unbelievable. What a... Unbelievable. Zhou overtook Stroll. He did indeed. Yeah, they pitted him at the end. Pitted him on the softs at the end. McLaren are so stupid. I agree. Yep, I agree. Piastri should have slammed on the brakes at the finish line. Well, there's no team orders. They've issued no team orders. And it's just ridiculous, really, I think, that they're just not... They've told their drivers not to fight there at the start. I cannot believe they've allowed them to fight. Cannot believe it. The map, the data just stops after a certain point after the race. It gets cut off, guys. That's why. So the race is over and done with. That's why we are where we are. But wow. Well, let's do driver of the day, shall we? Let's do driver of the day. Driver of the day. I don't think it could be attributed to any of the McLaren drivers, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe Piastri, but of course, P2. I do think who's going to be... I think I have an idea who's going to be voted for driver of the day. Who else have we got? We've got... I'm not even going to give it to Magnussen. I'm going to give it to Colapinto as well. And... yeah, let's do Piastri as well. I think there's only really a few options, to be honest with you. There we go. There we go. Guys, I want your questions. I want your questions, please. I am going to do, of course, my post-race Q&A. Please, post-race Q&A video. If you want your answers, if you want your questions answered, let me go to my community page. Go. Oh, I should really time this and be a bit more organised, shouldn't I? Italian GP. Go to my community page, guys. I want your questions about this race. Of course, I will answer some of them now. You can see here. I want your questions. Community page, go there and put them below, because I will be on the podcast tonight as well for the Missed Apex, so you can tune into that live. But yes, want to find out exactly what you thought about that race and pose your questions. I'm going to listen, of course, to the post-race interviews as well and see exactly what drivers have got to say, specifically McLaren. Colapinto, a great race, yeah. I still attest Carlos did his job to perfection. That half a lap on Oscar did the biz. 100%, yeah. 2.6 seconds there. Who knows? If he got into the DRS of Leclerc, at the end on those obviously older tyres. Could have made a mistake, more chances of a lock up, and it being a chance could have lost that win. But what a drive from Leclerc. Do I think Lando deserves to be prioritised when he cannot even lead the first lap from pole in the fastest car? I think so. Yeah, I mean, let's see if we can... Where's the Drivers' Championship? I need to get the Drivers' Championship standings up. But, I mean, I don't know where now that puts Oscar Piastri. Right? So, let's see where that's been updated. So Oscar Piastri was 4th, bearing in mind, in the championship standings. He's over 100 and he was over 118 points, over 110 points behind Max Verstappen. Now, you've got a driver who's 70 points behind him, with an opportunity to cut that down to potentially just above, like around 55. Why are you allowing your drivers to fight like that? But why? Do you want the Drivers' World Championship? Do you want the Constructors' World Champ? Do you want even the Constructors' Championship? I think it's a ridiculous decision to allow them to fight in the manner that they did. They haven't even maximised the amount of points in the Constructors' Championship as well, by arguably allowing them to fight and not control that race in the manner that they did. They allowed Charles Leclerc to get ahead of in between them, which caused obviously Lando issues, and they've just massively compromised both championships there, purely because they allowed their drivers to fight. If it wasn't Piastri past Norris, it would have been the Ferraris. His racecraft's just not great. I don't know. I mean, when you're fighting your teammate, it's a bit different. Of course, there's also the element of wanting to persevere. Lando's in a drivers' championship, and he wants to maximise the point. The last thing Lando wants is a DNF or to pick up damage. So, did subscribe earlier. You deserve it. Oh, thank you, Ram. No, thank you for anyone who has subscribed and it hasn't shown up as an alert. Of course, when the race, I normally have alerts turned on the sound-wise, but of course, there's a lot that come through during the course of these streams. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who keeps tuning in. Over 5,000 viewers again. We keep hitting consistent numbers. Consistency is key on YouTube. And yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who keeps showing up. Even if you don't put a comment in the chat, guys. Even those of you who just have me on in the background or just sit back and relax and enjoy these streams. Appreciate you all. So thank you. You bring your every subscriber and every viewer brings me closer to this becoming a dream of becoming full-time. So yeah, in that regard, thank you guys. Much appreciated. They left 10 points at the table. 100%, Raymond. 100%. It's clear that they don't believe they can win the World Drivers' Championship. It also shows that they're confident that the World TC is in the bag. I'm not even sure. I mean, yeah, it's definitely not a winner's mentality, is it? Definitely not a winner's mentality. I mean, yes, Mercedes allowed their drivers to fight, but up to a certain extent. When it became clear that Hamilton was the clear favourite to win the championship, they prioritised Lewis Hamilton to secure that Drivers' World Championship rather than them taking points off of each other. And I'm talking beyond the Nico Rosberg days, like Bottas, basically. They ensured that they allowed no one to come in and get in between that, i.e. Vettel and Max, until obviously, of course, 2021. But if they can still do something, yeah, they've just made it even tougher for them. They've just made it. I just don't get it. I mean, I cannot blame Oscar one bit, because if he's been told he can fight, he's done nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. If I'm Lando, and they say you're allowed to fight, with respect, as much as I may have a good relationship with Oscar, I'm standing there and I'm throwing my toys out the pram going, look, I need prioritisation here. I'm sticking on pole position. The last thing I want is my teammate to come and attack me and me to lose unnecessary positions to cars behind. Like, I need his support. And they haven't got that. And to be honest as well, remember what they just said. If we go back to Hungary, if I'm Lando, I'm fucking fuming. You go back to Hungary, what were they begging him over the radio? They were begging him on the radio. Remember, you don't win a championship on yourself. You'll need Oscar Piastri at some point. That's just a massive slap in the face to Lando Norris right there, because he needed Oscar right there to just slot in behind him and for them two to drive off into the distance and work together, because they could have done that today on the Ferraris, but they didn't. They didn't. And if I'm Lando, I am fucking I'm fuming. I'm absolutely fuming. So, do I think the Sauber dominance might bore fans? Yeah, them being towards in the bottom 5 every single race is yeah, it's just boring, isn't it? It's just boring. So, I want to understand Andreas Steller's perspective on this. Does he not like Lando? I just don't see how, when you've got a driver who's over 115 points behind the one in the lead, and you've got a driver who's 70 points behind, why you're not prioritizing. And he's just put it on pole position. He's just won the previous race in a domination, with a dominating performance. Why you're not prioritizing that driver? We knew today, all the talk was Lando could be just over 50 points back from Max Verstappen. Like, if he won that race today with fastest lap, as he has just gained, that would have been, okay, not the 18 points. It would have been, I think, 16 points maybe? Was it 16 points? It still would have been a fair chunk. Exactly the chunk of points that he needs to take out of Max each race between now and the end of the season. And McLaren have just screwed Lando over there. And that is the type of shit as well that will make Lando go to a team that will prioritise him in these scenarios, in these situations. It's the type of things like this that will make Lando want to leave McLaren. Bye, Gabriel. Yeah, I think you're saying they haven't pulled through on the teammate support promise. No, that's the exact scenario right there. But you're going back to Hungary and saying, remember what you begged me on the radio for? Remember. So, without seeing the start, I'm not going to bag Oscar. No, Oscar did what he was entitled to do. He was given the green light to attack his teammate. He got the run on him, but he could easily have not gone for that move and slotted in behind if the orders were there for them to just secure a 1-2. With that, they've not only just thrown away a win for Lando, they've thrown away a 1-2. So, yes, credit has to go to Ferrari in regards to allowing for Leclerc to make that one-stop work. But you also have to point to the fact of they allowed Leclerc to stay with Piastri. They allowed Leclerc to get in between the two McLarens, which kept him in this race because Norris couldn't get past him. If you had Norris ahead of Piastri and Piastri holding up Leclerc, it would have been a different race, 100%. Yeah, I like Pierre Gasly, yeah. I agree, plus the marketing viewership and support to McLaren could have just having Lando very close to Max in the drive. Exactly. I mean, look, he's still cut into the championship lead. I'm waiting for it to update to find out exactly what that points difference is. It hasn't updated yet. But of course, it was 70 points. I think now it's 10 points? How many points would he have gained? So third place, the sixth place. Let's work that out, guys. So F1 points. See where the point systems are. Okay, right, here we go. So we've got third place, he gets 15 points. He's just secured 16 points there, Lando, with the bonus point of fastest lap. And so he's only made 8 points on Max Verstappen today. He's just lost a potential of 10 points, as someone said earlier. Yeah, 10 points. He's just lost 10 points on Max today, you'd say. He's gained 8, but he can't be gained 8 points per race is not enough. It's not enough. There's not enough races remaining for him to get ahead of... I mean, maybe, obviously with the sprint races he can, but that's the type of stuff right there that... If Lando finishes within 10 points, 14 points of Max, we'll be looking back at Hungary and we'll be looking back at Monza. So, McLaren get paid for the Constructors' Championship, not drivers, so they don't care. Well, business-wise they do, prize money-wise, but then people will still... Oh, mate, Lando is dejected. Lando looks absolutely distraught again in the driver's cool-down room. Ferrari race pace time management this season's improved. Yeah. If you want to win, just to race, don't take top pole position. Yeah. Lando must be thinking, I don't want pole position now. Give me second. How far behind is McLaren in the constructors? I don't know yet. I'm waiting for that to update too. So he needs 7.77 points on max per race to catch him. Okay. So 8 points per race is enough. But you want to make it a lot easier than that, don't you? So can one lap Charles help? I think Lewis Hamilton's being very harsh on himself. I think he's lost his mojo at Mercedes, even with those wins. I think when it comes to qualifying, he's lost his mojo with them. I think when it comes to Ferrari, I think he'll get that mojo back and we'll see a better qualifier. Also, this is probably the lowest Red Bull will finish, so they might not be able to gain as much point difference as they might have won today. But exactly, yeah, you don't know that Red Bull will be this bad for the rest of the season. They may turn a corner, so you can't take... You have to maximise your opportunities because there's no guarantee that Red Bull won't sort out their issues between now and the end of the season. I personally don't think they will, and I think McLaren can take more points off of them, especially with some street circuits coming up, which we know the Red Bull has struggled with over the course of this season, especially with Baku and Singapore being the next two races back-to-back. But it's very... You can't expect that, basically. You have to expect that they're going to turn a corner and Max will be in second place. And you have to take these opportunities when they are presented to you, and they didn't do that. McLaren don't know what they're doing. No. I mean, they don't know. They're not acting like champions. Simple as. They're not acting like they've got the fastest car on the grid. They're not acting like that they're champions. And Mercedes wouldn't make these mistakes. Red Bull wouldn't make these mistakes. Ferrari, I don't know. We'd see with Ferrari. I think push comes to shove. I think Ferrari would definitely prioritise a driver if they was in the same position. But any team would prioritise a driver with that advantage over their teammate in the standings. Who knows, Max will get... Yeah, but you can't expect that, Stephen. You can't expect that Red Bull are going to have DNFs, that they're going to be poor. You've got to expect that they're going to turn a corner and they're going to be challenging again and make the most of these opportunities. The way Perez was able to fight George, I wouldn't be surprised if RB don't have something brewing. We'll see. It's the first win from 4th place on the grid in 2 years. Wow. How much is optimistic if he's hoping to outmanage tyres and tyres? Yeah. I mean, Hamilton is like a tyre whisperer, isn't he? So apparently, in only like constructors, like 30 points away from Red Bull, and I think he will only be like 50 points away in the championship. No, it won't be that big. So he was 70 points. He's just so 62 points between the gap between Max and Lando now. The championship, the constructors championship, is a lot closer. I think it's is it 10 points? Is it under 10 points? They're not in the lead yet though, but they could have overtaken them today. Will Antonelli be the next sergeant? No, because Antonelli actually has pace. These 7 to 8 points won't hurt Max so much until he finishes all races. Yeah, exactly. So Ferrari prioritised Seb over Kimi for much less. Exactly, guys. Well, look, that is the end of this watch-along stream, guys. I am going to have to call it there because I've got some errands I need to go and do. If you want to tune into more of what I've got to say, I am going to be on the Missed Apex podcast this evening, guys. Also, I want your questions. Further questions, anything that I haven't maybe necessarily been able to answer, anything that you may come up with posts this stream after listening to of course listening to the post-race interviews and so forth, or anything you may see on Twitter. I want your thoughts. So here I am, community posts. I'll put the little Italian flag in here soon. I've got 23 questions already. What? First one. Why is McLaren so trash at making decisions? Brilliant. Yeah. Drop your questions in there. I want more. So I didn't like your stream. So, oh, thank you. You can always... this race, I'll be watching a different stream. Fair enough. But you don't like the stream, that's your prerogative, guys. It's your prerogative at the end of the day. Have I been in Monza? No, I've never been to an F1 race, let alone abroad. So, thanks for the stream, Stuffeyy. Yeah, my pleasure, guys. My pleasure. Have a lovely rest of your Sunday, guys. Tune into the Mr. Apex podcast. The link is in the description below to the YouTube stream, or you can listen back via your podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple, Acast, all that jazz. And of course, I'll be making a Q&A video. I've got plenty of questions by the looks of it and comments, but keep them coming. I'm going to go, obviously, of course, do my research as well on everything that we've just seen in Monza. And I have a lot to say already in my head that I'm going to get off my chest when it comes to the podcast later on. So K-Mag has just been suspended. Yeah, that's what I thought throughout the whole race, Taco. I thought he was one more penalty away, and I'm pretty sure causing a collision is 3 penalty points. So yeah, I think Magnussen is out of the next race, guys. But we'll get confirmation of that, of course. I'll get that confirmation of that in my Q&A and for the podcast later on this evening. So yeah, thank you for everyone for continuing to tune into these watch-alongs. We have a week break now, and then we have another doubleheader in Baku and Singapore, 2 street circuits. Will McLaren actually be able to make a decent strategy call? Will they prioritise Lando Norris? I'm not so sure after what we've seen today, but who knows? But overall, Lando did still chip away at Verstappen's gap in the championship. It's not as much as he would have liked for. It's probably not as much as what the fans would have liked, but it's still chipping away and reducing that lead that Max has in the championship standings. So yeah, let's see, guys. Let's see. As I said, put your comments in that community post, and we'll do a Q&A vid later on this evening, or it'll be out tomorrow whenever I get kind of time to do it. But yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your Sunday. We'll see you soon. Bye.